Welcome to the world of tomorrow. I don't understand that reference. Jaws made me do it. I did it wrong. What was I supposed to say?
Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
Listen, as far as I can tell, that's exactly what I said. So
it's really, honestly, those aren't too different. Those aren't
different. It's about the baritones. It's about using your lungs and pushing the voice out of your face.
Baritone?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
not the diaphragm. Okay, I see how it is.
Welcome to what this actually is, which is Plat Chat episode 86, presented by T-Mobile. Wait, sorry, what? 87? No, I didn't see any update. I've missed a week. It's episode 87 presented by T-Mobile. That's the important part, though. Okay, we've got a motley collection here, to be honest, because Matt, honestly, I don't know whether Matt just can't trust himself to not release all of his secrets, because anytime we talk about anything juicy that he's been working on, he's like, I'm gonna have to bow out of this one, lads. Gonna have to bow out. Wouldn't be able to hold myself. So instead, we've got Jaws in alongside Avast and Reinforce, your more regular candidates.
There he is.
So someone else is going to have to take up the mantle of bullying people. So I guess that'll be Jaws this week. You don't seem like much of a bully, though.
No, I'm kind of a kind and caring individual, but I can jab sticks where sticks need to be jabbed.
Okay.
Nice.
Jab a stick.
You're bold.
Well, to be fair, I mean,
actually, I wish you were bold, Josh. I wish you were fucking bold.
Okay, there's a little less finesse there than when Matt does it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you just.
Do you want me to stutter some more? You're bold as fuck, Josh.
Yeah, no, you get
Is that more like Matt?
No,
that's
you nailed
good.
it.
That's good. That's
You
good.
absolutely nailed it.
Have you tried like lowering, perhaps like if you can stand up but sit on your knees, and then you can mimic Matt's height too, and then we can get the stutter going. And yeah, there we go. Yep, that's it. There it is. That's Matt.
You bold idiot.
Okay, it doesn't all have to be directed at me. Also, just gonna put that out there as well. Avast, how is the world of unemployment going?
Oh, I was telling everybody. I was telling everybody. I haven't been doing shit, honestly. Haven't been doing shit. Honestly, like I had a really busy last week because I did have a bunch of interviews. Honestly, that's happy.
Okay, good.
And then on my brother's graduation, which you can't tell now, but because I'm a pale fuck, I burned a little bit outside. I had tea with a friend after graduation, and I sat outside for like 30 minutes, got red, went to another graduation party that night, was looking like I spent a day at the beach. So it was looking really good for me. But overall, it was been pretty chill so far. We were supposed to record this, but we had to push it back an hour because we were doing lots of other things. So now that my schedule's free, I kind of just get to walk around. I'm just leisurely meandering back and forth. So realistically, I feel like I don't know. I feel very at peace currently. I have to say.
You didn't have SPF 50 on to block out the sun's rays.
No, because I wasn't planning to have that much direct sunlight. I was planning to only have bits.
You were planning for there to be cloud cover.
No, because I was inside for a large portion of it, and like I wasn't planning to be directly in the sun for so long. But my mom requires us to take a lot of photos for my brother's graduation.
I see.
So I kept on being in the sun, And then I wasn't planning to have tea outside, but I did. Is it because I'm popular? Yes, that's exactly why. So.
Yeah, thank you for answering that question that I'm sure all of our viewers are wondering. How popular is Avast now that he's unemployed?
Extremely popular.
Does he get taken out into the sun very often? God, your own mother dragging you around making you sunburnt as well. God, who can you trust? Can't trust anybody these days, can you? Can't trust it. Wait a second. There is someone you can trust. It's T-Mobile. T-Mobile's the one that you can trust. And they're presenting this episode as well, like all of our episodes recently. T-Mobile wants to be the best in the world at connecting people to their world. With so much of our lives these days happening through a wireless connection, nothing but the best will do. Actually, I'm going to take a short aside from this as well to say that lightning struck this house last week. I was woken up.
I saw Bren's tweet, yeah.
Yeah, I was hungover and a thunderclap happened right above the house and lightning hit the house. And thankfully, nothing has been damaged. But if it had been, we would have been able to still continue via the wireless, as in not affected by lightning hitting the cables, connection provided by T-Mobile. So there you go. We're protected either way. We rely on wireless to do almost everything in life, from big deals to everyday connections. So if you can't rely on your network, it can have big consequences. That's why you can't just trust this stuff to anyone. T-Mobile is the largest and fastest 5G network in America. And with coverage and speed like this, why wouldn't you go with the best around? There you go.
Wow. There you go.
That's nice.
I was trying to
myth
convince
about
Bren,
thunder.
Well, go on.
I just want to tell Josh, there's a myth about lightning hitting your house. If you hear a really loud thunderclap right next to you, there's like a long-standing myth that the Vikings had about that. And they say it's Zeus clapping his cheeks. And that's just right over your house.
So what, Zeus just turned into a fucking swan and started just having a go at
I don't remember
somebody?
what the equivalent of Zeus is. That'd be Odin, I guess, the All-Father.
Yeah.
So that would be Odin clapping his cheeks right above your house. So
Okay. Yeah, you did say a Viking myth that it's Zeus clapping his cheeks.
Yeah.
Bren told me that it was a very white, like loud, obviously noise, and then a bright flash of white that entered his room, and he woke up to it.
He nearly died.
I tried to convince him he was dead yesterday. I was like, "How do you know you're not dead? You woke up to a giant blinding light, mate. This could all be a dream." As we're
You're just gaslighting Bren to think he's dead.
That is incredible.
So funny, though.
I mean, that is unbelievable that you were playing Apex with him last night as well. I would hope that if any of us pass on, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody.
Just stuck in an Apex Battle Royale.
If the four of us pass on to and shuffle off this mortal coil, I hope I'm not stuck in endless Apex games with you. That would just be, I mean, talk about purgatory.
So
that's somewhere between purgatory
what do you mean?
and hell.
I'm sick of Apex.
Just float around.
Bren's the bad one.
Playing games ain't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be far better than like hell existing as you just play Apex? Like, wouldn't that be like way better? Like, I feel like it would be. Not saying that I'm going to hell. It's more so just saying that like it would be better than the alternative potentially. I don't know. I'm not saying Bren's going to hell either. I'm simply just saying it's better than of all the afterlife mythos. Would not being stuck in permanent Apex games be like far better than a lot of the other ones?
Well, all right, well then I have a question for you. I have a question for all of you. If that was the choice that you got to make, a genie appears to you and says, you can play Apex games with Jaws and Bren for the rest of time. That's all you're allowed to do. You're just stuck in endless lobbies playing again for the end of time.
Well, you don't know the alternative. Okay.
Well, yeah, and the alternative is that you take your risk of whether you're going to heaven or hell.
Oh, but the thing is,
and it's classic. I mean, we're talking classic descriptions: fire, brimstone, Satan with a pitchfork, just sodomizing you.
But obviously, then we're assuming that all of us are going to heaven here. So, like, then also the heaven classic description.
Are you really?
I would hope so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's murdering anyone else on the sides here.
Does anyone have a coin? I'll flip a coin for it.
You think
I feel like it's 50-50 for me.
You have an extremely good, you have an extremely clear line in your head in terms of morality of what would take you to hell. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to hell.
Are we going like the old, are we doing the old Catholic way of like if you were slothful, like you were lazy, you go to hell too?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to hell.
If you haven't accepted
that's the case, fuck yeah, I'm playing Apex. I'm going to hell like 20 times over. Fuck yeah, I'm playing Apex forever. Yeah, sign me the fuck up, dude. Absolutely.
All right. Sure. Can you flip a coin on Google? Is that possible?
What are you choosing?
Flip a coin to see if you want to go to
check
hell.
this out.
What are you choosing?
Okay, so this is a cool highlight. I think.
It's amazing.
Who is this?
Okay.
Bren?
We're watching
This is
Bren. Yeah.
Bren runs like a grandpa in this game.
Oh.
He reminds me of someone using a controller.
His movement shouldn't be so bad because he played TF2, right? He should understand.
Wow. I mean,
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I feel like he missed. Oh, he's angry. He's upset.
Okay, Jonathan, if you were to pick head or tails, and I mean, what are you putting on each?
Well, putting on each?
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
it's 50-50. I mean,
yeah. So which one's going where?
Which one?
I'll go heads. I'll go heads for
what?
Johnny?
Which choice? For heaven. For heaven. Okay. Heads for heaven.
Okay, here we go.
You don't get to pick heaven. My choice was you either get to pick Apex or take your risk.
Oh yeah,
no, but this is for heaven or hell.
Oh, go on then. Yeah, let the dice decide. Sure.
So this is
okay. That's what he's choosing. Okay, we'll flip it.
Heaven or hell? Let's go.
Oh, you've been good at
heaven.
yeah.
Well, he made it.
That makes sense. Apex, just go to heaven, mate. Just go.
You do look like a 7
But also,
foot
this
tall
is still
cherub.
assuming that heaven. That's still assuming, right? That they're not telling you that heaven exists, right? They're just saying you're taking your chance that you could go. if it did exist.
Yeah, you know what?
And I won the coin flips. I'm going.
You know what? I love
off.
this philosophical podcast that we've just started, but instead, let's talk about some Overwatch. We've lost all of our core audience. They have no idea what we're talking about. Okay.
You say that, but they're actually like, please do this more. This is what we want to see.
Maybe.
Please make 4 heads. But 5 heads.
The 5 heads. This... To start off with, let's get into the news as to why Matt is absent this week, because he can't stop his little lips from flapping if we get to something where he knows some juice involved. And we had the very first Aaron Keller developer update, which was, I don't know, what was it, like 2-3 minutes, something like that? It wasn't really that long.
A couple of minutes. But
it was his first direct-to-camera, developer update where he was talking to the community. And... I just want to say, for starters, I'm glad they're still doing those. It would be very easy for people to not want to do them if they're not as comfortable as Jeff was on camera. And Jeff was freakishly comfortable on camera. Like, it's not normal for a game director to be that charismatic without it being scripted at all. That is really unusual how good Jeff was. So I'm just really glad that they're doing these, even though they're a little stiffer as Aaron gets used to doing them.
I mean, you got to keep in mind as well, like, Jeff Kaplan did like World of Warcraft panels at BlizzCon like over 10 years ago. Like he's been there at BlizzCon since day one doing like slideshows for fans. So like he's been at this gig for quite a while. I don't know how much Aaron has done in that capacity, but I imagine there's like if someone asked me like, hey Johnny, can you go up on the BlizzCon stage and just like talk about a slideshow for 30 minutes about the Overwatch League, I'd be like, that's kind of nerve-wracking. Like that's kind of a lot. So I mean, this is even just a quick video, but I can imagine there's an adjustment phase and getting accustomed to it, as we all know, like speaking on camera.
Yeah, it's just cool as well. As for the actual meet, Aaron Keller has been talking a lot about PvP. I don't know whether anyone else has picked up on this, but it feels like every time he's done an interview, wow, we cropped in real close on his face there. That's an extreme close-up. When he was doing the GameSpot interview, and now as well, a lot of what they've been focusing on, at least the stuff that they're ready to unveil or hint towards, is PvP focused, which is, I mean, that's fucking awesome for us.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Super good thing.
That makes sense,
I was a bit worried. I was a bit worried that because I felt like they always very much saw the PvE side of Overwatch 2 being much grandiose than the PvP side. I was afraid that they were going to kind of push it to one side until the launch, or till closer to the launch at least. So it's good that we're seeing a lot more stuff way before the launch is actually going to happen. Obviously, we don't know when it's.
You don't know the release date.
It might not. Yeah, it might. Yeah, it might be tomorrow.
It's next week.
We'll never know. Yeah,
release it now, Aaron.
It's nice to actually see them talk about it in more detail, because we only got a small snippet of BlizzCon, them talking about the passives or something of the different classes and little bits and pieces of the maps and whatnot. But actually going into it in detail and kind of having PvE sit on the backside for a little bit is nice to see. Actually, restores a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I feel like, though, I had like the inverse expectation, Jaws. Not that I think yours was a bad take at all, because like that's very real, but I was expecting them to start hitting PvP more, simply because I feel like PvE is likely a clusterfuck currently. Like I feel like it's not that it's like a bad idea or they're going to execute it poorly or anything, right? It could be really cool, and they showed snippets of why it could be really cool. It's just like, I feel like at its base, when you're trying to make this game, they're probably like, holy shit, this is a lot to do. Like, this is a lot to figure out and implement properly with like Blizzard, the amount of Blizzard polish that is generally expected with their games, and how Overwatch itself, even if it's old, is currently very polished. So I feel like they would probably feel more comfortable giving PvP updates, because I feel like if I was behind the scenes, obviously I'm not developing Overwatch, or else there'd be like way dumber shit in the game. But like the point being is that like PvE has to be a giant clusterfuck, and I feel like there's still a ton to figure out with it.
Sure.
And PvP probably is a lot more straightforward. And also, I feel like that engages I know there's a ton of casual players that want PvE, but at the end of the day, Overwatch started as a PvP game, and that's probably what the majority of the player base cares about still, even if they're more casually oriented.
Yeah. I mean, the actual thing that they announced was that there's going to be a showcase on May the 20th. It was, correct me if I'm wrong here as well, but I believe it was that they're running a live stream with some people from the Overwatch team and the Overwatch League team and content creators. Is that what they said?
I know it's like, Uber and Matt Wright sort of working the stream from Overwatch League, is it? And then I think those are the only two people from Overwatch League directly.
Right. Okay.
And then I'm not sure. And then everything else is kind of up in the, I don't know much about anything else.
I think it's an Overwatch League kind of thing, though. Or not like, not as in like it belongs to the Overwatch League, but I think like it's being like, people are helping putting it on and stuff, I think. Because it's a live stream, right? So that would make sense, would it not? So... yeah, I think something in that capacity. I mean, I have no idea what to expect from this.
Yeah, really. That's a good place to begin, right? Like, what is a reasonable expectation for the stuff that would be showcased here? Because we're not expecting a finished game, right? You'd have to be crazy to think that that's going to be on display. So, what are the kind of things that you'd like to see and expect to see?
A little bit more gameplay of the new hero. Oh, I forget her name. Sojourn, yeah. Because they showed a little bit, right? And she had this like LG cannon, which was kind of cool. And it showed like a little bit of her ult, maybe. I can't overly remember. My memory's terrible. But I would like to see a little bit of that. They kind of maybe open with Sojourn and then move into the rest of how the other heroes are going to interact in the game, using the passives and maybe showing off a couple of maps, which would be kind of cool. But definitely starting with her would be a good thing, because that would draw a lot of the casuals in too. Because obviously we want to know about how it might affect competitive, right? And maybe something to do with Overwatch 1 as well. But drawing someone in with the hero aspect first would be great, and just seeing more of her kit would be cool, and how she interacts with various things.
I wonder, like, obviously as Joe said about the heroes as well, seeing more from the new heroes, maps as well, seeing the new maps as well. Like if we're going to see Gothenburg, I think it was, which is my go-to.
Wait, is that a map?
New York. Yeah, I think they announced it. Yeah, I think they announced it in
Gothenburg.
Gothenburg, really?
That's like like the place that you fly into in Sweden if you want to go to DreamHack.
Wasn't there a Swedish map? Swedish map, Overwatch 2.
Is that where we find the Goth GFs? Is that Gothenburg?
Whoa, is that where you find them? Is that what they made?
Avast got a one-track mind.
Yeah, I think that was announced. So obviously we'll see more of that. But as I was thinking about this, an old article came to mind that Yiska wrote in February, which was about Overwatch turning into 5v5. Because I can't remember exactly, and I can't remember exactly, but it mentions like that they didn't show like a second tank. It says there. However, as alert viewers may have noticed, not once does the footage contain several fights show a team with more than 5 players or a second tank player. And this article came to mind when I read the comments on the Reddit thread of the announcement, because people were saying like, I really hope the game stays 6v6, and I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, of course it's going to. And then I remember this article as well. So I don't know. They tried that out with experimental cards. So I don't know. Now I'm just like, I'm open for anything. Like,
yeah, but that would be crazy though.
Did anybody ever play 5v5? Like, I remember doing custom games a long time ago. Yeah, it was with you, Johnny, and Bren. Maybe it might have been Josh as well. It was bad. Like, if you got one pick, you just lost. Like, sorry, if you got picked, you got lost, and like the maps are just way too big for 5v5.
Well, I mean, obviously that's the experimental card though, and they're working within the confines of 6v6 Overwatch. Like Overwatch 2 would be them entirely redesigning everything around 5v5.
That would mean redesigning of the entirety of the map pool that's currently in the game.
I mean, that's the weird thing too. They would have to do all the maps, and like they would have to, because isn't the point of Overwatch 2 it's syncing with Overwatch 1, right?
Yes.
So if they made it 5v5, how the fuck would that work? Like that.
I don't know. They said they're changing the tanks to brawlers, are they not? So I don't know if that has some like.
May, right? Are they changing May?
They're changing a ton of stuff. I don't know.
I think they've just said that a lot of these things are possibilities. I don't think they've locked themselves into anything yet. They said that there was like they've showcased some stuff that was I think this was at BlizzCon, which was like Reinhardt having much more maneuverability and the double fire strikes and stuff like that. But even those specifics are still. They're not locking themselves in because this is a game that isn't about to be released. So I think, Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I really don't know what to expect. Like, obviously, this is just speculation, and it's like an article based on like what alerted viewers watching the BlizzCon thingy. But I'm just saying, like, I really, if they're doing like a PvP Overwatch 2 stream, is it just going to be like to cater to their PvP audience and be like, here's some new hero gameplay, here's some new map gameplay, or like, are there going to be any big overarching changes, like going from Assault and implementing, is it called Rush? The new map goes?
Yes.
Push. Yeah, Rush.
Push.
Push.
Is it push
That's
or
right.
rush? I don't know.
It's push.
No, it's push. No, it's push.
Push
It's
the thing.
So like, I hope they talk about those kind of like big changes as well, as like how they approach competitive game mode, ranked, and all of that kind of stuff, more than just like showing some heroes and some maps as well. Because I think that kind of like staves off the PvP audience. Like, hey, we got stuff coming up, but it's like, what's your philosophy of PvP going into Overwatch 2 more?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should be expecting something substantial though, not just like because I mean, we're 5 years in to essentially, because they said they've been planning this since like around the release of like when they first put out like Overwatch, right? Within the first like year or something. It was like the timeline of when they started like, we're gonna do Overwatch 2 or something like that. So I feel like at this point we should be expecting not necessarily like a finished product, like you said, Josh, but something substantial in terms of like, what are we gonna see? Like, are we seeing new maps, new heroes, new mechanics? How ready is it going to be? And then I think it would be cool if they put out, like you said, Johnny, some sort of like, oh, here's how the rank system's going to work. If they announced though that the game was like, it's 5v5 now, I personally, I'm not a fan of that, unless because it would because it's like the same problem that like COD League had, where it's like, hey, we're playing an entirely different game. Now everyone has to drop their players. And it's like, so I don't really, because you don't have as many people on the roster anymore, Well, it's going to fundamentally change everything.
I think, that's, sorry, this is going to sound really cruel, but I think that's secondary to the success of the game and,
No, I mean, I agree. I'm just saying that, like, to me, it seems like a weird undertaking to do, because it's like they've already, especially since it's supposed to sync with Overwatch 1, it requires a fundamental redesign of all the currently existing maps.
Yeah, sure.
Like, it's just like, there's so many logistical problems with that, right?
This barely feels worth talking about, because I just rumors.
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was a really interesting thing to think about,
it is.
Right?
It is crazy interesting as well, because it does solve some problems too, with like queue times and stuff like that, right? Like, it's significantly easier. It also aligns you with most other esports in the world, which are 5v5 rather than 6v6.
Also reduces the power of tanks, because like tanks with a 5v5 setup, you have to redesign the whole role. And so tanks are like, you don't have to worry as much about tank players, because there's less tanks required to be played on a team.
Yeah, it does.
I think it could be a big update as well. I don't know.
It totally could be, and I think I would be pretty open-minded about that too, especially because in the CDL example they don't tend to have substitutions, whereas we have a lot of them in Overwatch League as well. So even though at the moment we have 6-player rosters, or rather 6 players can be fielded, a lot of teams have like 9 or sometimes even bigger. But I would say the average is probably around 9, maybe 8, 9, something like that. So even if it'd probably go down by 1, but you're probably you're still
looking to bring on extra tank players for sure, just especially because the amount of tank
it definitely
fucks
people over, right? Especially the tank players, but
I mean, there would be no number that would actually bring us back to like, it's gonna own more people, but like it just doesn't help more for the long term, right? And you can make a lot of arguments that it could.
So. Yeah. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to discuss here as well, though, is this being so early in the year. I know it sounds silly to say that, because we're in the 5th fucking month and we're towards the end of it as well by the time this comes out, but it feels still quite early, and this seems like it wouldn't be the only thing that happens this year, right? Is that only me that's getting this? It feels like this would just be the first of multiple showcases as they go throughout the year. You can't just do something like this and then go silent until you announce a release date. And,
100%
or something.
Like, there is no way they don't do some sort of, maybe this will be a closer to the launch date kind of thing, but they do a pro showcase where they get loads of Overwatch League players to play the game in a big like series or something, like a best of 5 or something. But if you consider most games are launching nearer Christmas time, I don't think this is too early to have a first showing of a lot of extra things that they're bringing out, especially in the kind of PvP. This showcase does sound like it's got a whole bunch of stuff getting plugged into it. I don't think it's that early, honestly. I think if it was at the very beginning of the year, yeah, you could definitely say like, oh my God, dude, we got maybe 10 months to go. But we're in May and we're halfway through May now.
But also,
or at least it'll be the tail end. I don't think it's that early, to be honest.
There hasn't been a release date. And whenever you release something, then whenever you announce a release date, you have to give time for that hype to build. So
I'm assuming that it's going to be released at the end of the year. That's what I'm kind of assuming now.
Really?
Yeah, is it? I don't know. That's the thing. Yeah, I know.
So.
I know. It's a big assumption, but like, if you look at this as like a roadmap almost, like my hypothetical roadmap, if it was to release near the end of the year, this would be a perfect time to do a showcase, because then every other month you can kind of do little bits and pieces that stack on top of it. And then they'll say, I don't know, this summer it'll be like, oh, boom, it releases this Christmas, or maybe early next year or something. That's my hypothetical roadmap. But yeah, will it release the end of the year? I don't know.
I mean, Overwatch itself released in like May or something, right? So they're not.
Oh, true. Sure, yeah.
They don't always just align with Christmas releases.
Yeah. I think maybe my point is just it's unlikely it's going to happen. Yeah. Unlikely Diablo 2, no, Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. I think it's unlikely they announced in an earnings call or something.
I mean, there's just so much like, I feel like they just have a ridiculous amount of like concept work to work. I mean, when you add a PvE element to this game, it just like changes. Like, it's one thing to release a direct PvP sequel, but a PvE element like changes the whole math, changes everything.
Okay, here's another question to throw towards you lot as well. Everyone so far has been assuming that Overwatch 2 releases, bam, it's got a release date. Let's say May the 20th, 2022, right? So it's like a full year after this showcase. It's somewhat aligned with the 2016 release of the original Overwatch. Let's put that out as a hypothetical. People are assuming that it's like, bam, game releases, and then Overwatch 1 gets updated as well at the same time to kind of go in collaboration with this. What if there's like a trickle system where Overwatch 1 updates over time to the point where the PvE is able to be added as like Overwatch 2 as well? Do you guys think that that's a reasonable thing that could occur?
I'm trying to figure out what you're saying. Are you saying that like they would release content patches till it eventually becomes Overwatch 2?
Yeah, essentially, because they have to keep Overwatch 1 up to date with Overwatch 2 anyway. They must eventually be the same game. Right? That was part of the promise that they made, was that you can still play the PvP side of Overwatch 1 if that's the only game that you own. Maybe you won't have access to all the maps or the PvE side and the other stuff, but you're still going to be able to play the same core game. So they are going to have to, at some point, push either one enormous update to Overwatch 1 or start loading it into the game in pieces. And what I'm saying is there is actually potential later on down this year, or maybe towards the beginning of next year, for Overwatch 1 to start having some stuff that happens to it as well, which, I mean, I don't even know what that would be, but maybe hero tweaks or engine updates or whatever. And I think that would be a sign that we're closer to that rather than a showcase. Is that crazy?
Like MMO games, but this sounds exactly like a pre-patch before an expansion, which means that like 2 weeks, a month in advance, they update the game to the next expansion. But like if you don't buy the game, you can't go through the portal, or like you can't go through the new zones. So they would just like implement all the hero changes. And then if you only have Overwatch 1, you can just keep playing like arcade and ranked. But you can't actually do like the PvE features, the new rank system, new maps, new heroes, maybe stuff like that, is what you're saying?
Well, that's what it's eventually going to look like, right? Like that's what they've said it will eventually look like.
Who knows, man? That sounds really complicated. And it's been a long time. Yeah. So I don't have any expectations. I'm like, okay, you guys said that, but I don't actually like,
No, I know. It's just, on it. I've been kind of thinking through in my head how the process would even work, because they're not just releasing a full-on sequel.
Just from a logistical level, right? Is that you would probably have to load multiple like pieces of like software, like just change like a lot of. I mean, just because I'm not a software engineer, but from the development of like every other life cycle game, you generally don't just release a huge thing all at once, especially because this is technically like it is like a live content game, but it's also segmented out because there's a sequel. So it's like we're living in 2021 and also 1998 at the same time. So I'm not quite sure exactly what the method for that's going to be, because it's on face value, it's just kind of strange, because I don't know if any other major game is going to operate in this way. Like, yeah, in this way, outside of like an MMO, like, I don't know. Like for a competitive, for like an FPS game, an arena shooter FPS. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know.
How did StarCraft do it? Because
they were just sequels. They were just each one of them were sequels, and like
but
that was all it was.
But no, kind of. But like, could you still play ranked?
Yes.
So say Heroes of the Swarm is out. Could you and you looked at the base game? Could you still play ranked on the base game, but just not have the new? What would be different there?
Yeah, I don't. You didn't have access to the campaigns, I believe, and you didn't have access. You didn't have access to like. I believe the online multiplayer experience was always the same, or maybe they gated it, but like you couldn't play the campaigns. I believe that's how it worked for StarCraft, to my knowledge. But obviously, I'm not a StarCraft expert. Don't quote me on that. But that's what I remember. Was that each new sequel gave a new campaign, they would add more units, and
that's what I'm saying. What about those units?
The units, I believe, you could still use them in multiplayer. So, but honestly, not totally certain. So don't 100% quote me on that.
The showcase is happening on May 20th. There's a lot of questions about what's going on, but it's going to be a good watch anyway. I mean, even if all they did was just tickle our balls a little bit more, people are still going to be watching because they just desperately want that sweet release. So hopefully they add in some actual substance.
Free tickle.
Yeah, or I'm just down for a bit of free tickling. Are any of you doing companion streams? Because I know that I'll be doing one as well.
I will do one, yeah. I'll probably be doing one on May 20th, yeah.
I'll exist and someone else's probably.
There you go. You can check those out too. On to the next topic, which is, I think it's Disco Batiste, essentially, isn't it? It's the anniversary. The anniversary patch, the anniversary skins. What's sorry?
Plant Mommy.
Yeah, Plant Mommy Moira is also on there. They
didn't give Batiste Immortality Field a disco ball.
It
was like the perfect opportunity to give him a disco ball as he's like, look, you'll be able to see him near the end of this. Like, how perfect would it have been?
Yeah, he really
would have.
Out
a disco ball, bro. Oh man, it's so cool.
See, where's Plant Mommy Moira? Pretty sure she's in this.
He's in a different video.
What words are you saying?
Plant Mommy Moira.
Am I the only person who doesn't understand that? What are those? What is that combination of words?
Find the Moira skin and you'll understand.
There we go.
There she is.
Okay.
Look, it's Plant Mommy Moira.
But why Mommy?
Because that's just what you call it, dude. You just call it Plant Mommy Moira, man.
You're acting like we're the weird ones for not understanding why
you are the weird ones. You are the weird ones.
An Oedipus complex with Moira.
To this tweet, I'll say. The replies are just like, come on.
They're doing a really cool theme now because they've got the Sombra skin too, the cat one. It's like Batman.
Oh.
Poison Ivy. And then they got
Poison Ivy, Catwoman.
Yeah, how cool is that?
I didn't make that connection at all.
It's pretty sick.
Do you think that's deliberate? I mean, where does the Disco Batiste come into it and the other stuff?
Oh, is there a disco scene in
just Disco Batiste?
I don't think every
I don't
know.
Oh, he's got a lava lamp in his thing.
Because also Moira could be poison, like you said, Poison Ivy, but I don't know what Baptiste or Batman.
He's just awesome. He's just cool.
If Bap was dressed as a penguin, I would understand completely.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
No, that should be a Torb skin. Torb should be the penguin.
I think it's just a sub theme. I think you're reading too much into it. They're like all the anniversary skins are just wild and wacky, aren't they? They're all different themes. It's not sticking to one kind of theme like Black Watches or something. I think it's just it's just all random. But yeah, I love the idea that they're going with this whole like Batman.
Is that just Tracer's just default skin? Am I missing something there?
But she has a dance.
It's the emote. Right. Yeah. I didn't get that. I thought it was just the animation. All right, cool. What else is included in this patch? Is there anything else that's been kind of?
I think there's just mostly the skins. Yeah. I think it's mostly just skins.
Okay, I like it.
Didn't they say they're bringing back archives actually, or was that before?
Oh, really?
I mean,
no, that wasn't the last one.
That was the last one. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is going to get overshadowed a little bit by the Overwatch 2 stuff, but all right. Pretty cool that the patch is out. I like the skins. All right. Let's move on to the June Joust. Overwatch League time. This is the tournament that's upcoming. It's got some big bad games. It's also got some hero pools. So I think I want to start there. I want to talk about the hero pools. There was even a discussion about whether hero pools should be in, right? Because they had the game in a good state. And when hero pools hero pools have always been planned to be in for the June Joust, and then they got added in, and then people were complaining about it. And
Yes.
I don't know. What's the take here? What's the sensible take?
Help Avast.
So
should I mauled first? I did have the most maldy take. So
Yeah, you
Jaws,
did.
do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first. I will follow.
Well, once again, I think it was like, what was that quote? It's like the number one argument against democracy is to listen to the voters or something. And that's like how I feel about when I listen to the public and hero pools, because like everyone knew they were happening. The whole system had been designed around hero pools, and then they happened and everyone got really mad. And I'm like, but we've known this was going to exist forever. Like it was going to be here no matter what. And then on top of that, what happened if the meta wasn't good? What if the meta had been shit in the first stage? And then everyone would have been like, where's hero pools? We need to see more meta. And then, so like, it's just, there's no winning in the situation, right? It's like, because realistically, everyone's like, well, the meta is great. We should change it, right? And like, they could just say not to do it. But like, I'm pretty sure Overwatch League has already built a whole system before the season started based around hero pools, like in terms of like graphics, in terms of like how they're going to be implementing that into the tournaments, into the format for the league, in terms of like how they're going to be rolling it out. There's so many back-end products that are involved with hero pools that removing them at this point is just causing another headache, because you're essentially just kicking out a bunch of things that were already going to be implemented into the league that are now no longer part of it, right? And all these assets and all this time that's spent implementing it is wasted. Yeah. So
you can't just flip a switch and it turns off again. I agree with your take completely. While I think maybe hero pools didn't really need to be in because of the diverse meta, if it was a double shield Maywall Fortnite comp, yeah, people would have been pissed. You know what I mean? Like, people would have been fucking molding, and they were like, "Where's hero pools?" And we have them. I mean, almost so what at this point? Because
wow,
it was. It's the same as Avast. I just said, so what?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a so what take situation. The heroes aren't even bad, but I mean,
yeah.
that's
okay. Well, we'll get into that in a sec. We'll get into that in a second. I want to hand the floor over to Jonathan, the number one hater of hero pools, even more so than me at this point. I've given up my tirade against hero pools. I feel like the implementation this year was all right, but Jonathan, he's still got a. He wants to get him.
I feel like it's the year after an election, and I'm just like, I lost the election, and then I'm just like continuing to rant, and I'm just like, well, it's the first year after the election. Like, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to go on my tour again. Like, I don't want to go around to all these states and preach and like tell my opinion, because like I did that last year. Like,
you don't feel the implementation is better this year though, because I feel like that was a huge issue. Is that everyone hated the implementation is so much better.
It's so much better, but.
What?
Y'all motherfuckers got lucky with the hero pool. That's all I'm saying, okay? You got lucky with Reinhardt being gone. Tracer Sombra, I mean, it's unfortunate. Tracer's fun to watch. Zenyatta being gone. Like, this is a good pool. Like Joel said, like, this is a pretty good pool. I'm interested to see what comes out of it. We'll probably see some teams try to play some, like, double bubble, continue to play with the Echo, Ana. Or we'll actually see some double shield, which ironically is the composition we've barely seen anything of. So the hero pool system actually kind of works out in that we're moving away from Reinhardt compositions guaranteed, and probably Winston compositions to some degree, with Tracer and Zenyatta being out of the mix. And we're actually going to the composition that we haven't seen yet. So with that, you know, the hero pools worked out this time, but I was really scared of the risks of having a really bad hero pool. Obviously, it's hard to speculate on the spot, like what could have been a really bad hero pool. But I think we saw last year specifically, we saw several scenarios where people were just locked into some really bad compositions because alternatives or counters were taking out of the mix, which just left you with these really clunky, bad Overwatch compositions that weren't supposed to make sense, you know, when you release the heroes in the game in the first place. So I think we're kind of lucky with the hero pool. I'm looking forward to the June Joust. I think it's going to be good, but I was really scared of the risks we were running trying to run hero pools in the June Joust, considering how good the meta was in May Melee. Now, I understand the argument as well that you can't just flip a switch. So I'm not mad at the Overwatch League for not flipping a switch. I mean, I very much understand it. It's rational. It is what it is. You know, if you didn't want hero pools, should have decided that going into the season. They decided to run it in good, you know, according to good standards, like Avast said. Having them the entire stage is something I fully agree with and that I mentioned last year as well. So I back you in that. And also there was something else that I forgot. But yeah, I think the implementation is much better this year. I think we got lucky with the hero pool, so I'm looking forward to the June Joust. But overall, I was shitting my pants waiting for this hero pool to be announced, because if they had banned some like terrible heroes, like Winston is gone, Zenyatta is gone, and you're just going to play Lucio Moira for an entire stage with Reinhardt and just run around with Mei, like, have fun. It's like, no, sorry. That's not fun. I am a macro maximalist, okay? I don't like the micro gameplay as much, like goats and stuff like that. So just personal taste. No one's right or wrong. That's just my opinion. If you like goats and watching that for a year, or if you like Lucio Moira, go ahead. I'm not gonna say you're wrong, because it's just personal flavor, well, and this is mine.
We kind of got spoiled a little bit for the Mei melee, because the meta was so good that any hero pool is almost by definition going to be worse, because it limits creativity. And normally the meta does that on its own, because it just wrestles you into a position where you have to play some broken shit. But this was so open that people were playing essentially whatever they wanted to play, whatever style fit them, between trying to force rush in certain places and playing ball comps and playing Winston and all sorts of different DPS picks as well. So any hero pool you got was going to limit it slightly.
Sure, but I also think it's worth mentioning that I think the meta was stabilizing a little bit, and I think that's almost like the number one argument for keeping hero pools in June Joust. It's like, well, we saw most teams actually go towards Winston, and like the meta was starting to settle. So
you think
not just Winston, but Winston D.Va specifically, like on a lot of maps, like Winston D.Va was like kind of coming out on top. Like he still got to see double bubble and stuff, but
sure,
that was definitely trending in that direction, right? Yeah. And like it's what happens. And also on top of that, like everyone's still forgetting, there's a period of time where the balanced team chooses to just not make any that don't make effective change for like a year and a half, you know? Like, sure, has it been better? If I actually the agreement that I think hero pools can be removed after this year if Team 4 continues their consistent balance updates, right? Where they've committed to make more consistent changes and like they're actually willing to target the meta more aggressively. If they're going to continue to do that, I think I'm totally behind hero pools getting gone at that point, right?
Yeah.
But as of right now, I can't trust that at some point Team 4 just is going to be like, guess what? We give him Baptiste 3 immortality fields and he can kill everyone with one shot, and this is going to be the meta for a year and a half now. So good luck, everybody else. And like the thing is, there's so many instances where meta just lasted for so fucking long with no change that like it's currently the only real solution to that until we have another year of Team 4 being like, yes, we're doing aggressive balance changes and we're going to continue to target the meta and we're going to have consistent changes as well. Like that's when we can say like, okay, no more hero pools.
Apart from the D.Va remake thing, recently the balance changes have actually been pretty decent.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's still, this is a blip in the cosmic radar of the background radiation of Overwatch. So,
okay. Well, let's take a look at this specific hero pool then. So Jonathan's already said his impression was that this was a good hero pool because it removed some things that I guess we had been playing a lot of Rhine. If you think about the main melee in general, even though we trended towards Winston and Winston D.Va at the end, what actually got played the majority of the time, I think, was Reinhardt for the regular season. It felt like a lot of people were running Rush. Maybe not if you include APAC as well. Maybe the Winston comps were larger overall. But that is just a straight up, that's an archetype gone. There's no one's playing Reinhardt Rush anymore. No one's playing any kind of death ball comp. But apart from, you could still get away with trying to play the Lucio Moira with the Winston D.Va, but then your Tracer and your Sombra are gone. So you're probably not going to play that either. Like, what would you play? Like, you play that with a Reaper and I don't even know.
I think Kree still probably works there.
Reaper Kree?
Kree is still really, really strong. 225 HP. So
yeah,
really strong.
I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like that, yeah. I mean, the mobility is more important than the health, I guess, but...
Yeah,
but...
What are you going to use there? Genji Doom?
I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, I actually think Doom could be actually relatively decent simply because Sombra's out of meta. Like you physically cannot play Sombra,
and
so there was a chance.
Two of his biggest counters are out.
And also, are we having nerfed Baptiste next patch in June?
And then Doom doesn't even care about BAP anyway most of the time. He has two.
But even still, it's just like an extra thing to like make Doom a little stronger, right? Yeah. Is that BAP's been nerfed a bit, right? So theoretically, I could see Doom actually being somewhat meta without Sombra.
What do you run with the Doom though? What does he even?
I still think Kree. If you'd run like, Yeah, I still think Kree is just too strong. Getting Kree, one of Kree's major weaknesses is his ability to get kind of dove, right? And if he expends like any one of his 2 cooldowns, the flash or the roll, like it's pretty hard to get out of that situation, regardless of your extra 25 HP that you have over a lot of the other DPS heroes.
It's just
but
that
if you use the speed to kind of speed you into them, like the flashbang can do so much, especially if you're mirroring. You can stop mirroring attacks. You can stop the Doomfist as well if that really becomes a comp. I think the Kree is still pretty decent there.
So okay, I don't know how your brain works, the two of you, but when I draft compositions at our hero pool, I start with the tanks.
No, I'm not talking about the overall. I'm just saying I could see Doom being useful in instances where teams make swaps, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And also, I don't even totally disagree with Jaws, simply because, like, for the Kree at least, because the support picks could still fit. Like, we saw teams playing like Bap Ana and like Bat Mercy and shit, like last stage. So like there's still plenty of options to have like a dedicated healer to pocket the Kree and have someone still to give power to like a diving Winston and Diva with a Doom, right? Like with a Mercy or with an Ana. So there are still 100% viable options to allow this. But I'm not saying that's going to be the meta is Doom Kree. I'm just saying I could see swaps where Doom becomes like a useful swap in certain instances because there's no Sombra.
Okay, well, I mean, with the Reinhardt gone though, that is most of that archetype of like the rush or the brawl Rein comps have disappeared. Also, the Zen empowers tons of poke compositions with the Discord Orb, the damage from the backline, that kind of thing. It feels pretty likely that those comps are going to be a lot weaker than they would be otherwise. And then Sombra and Tracer are like your 2 most mobile flanky DPS picks as well. So this is an incredibly diverse hero pool where it's tackled almost 3 archetypes at once and tried to nerf them a little bit. What's everybody's take on what's actually going to be strong in the June Joust?
So I mean, I say this hesitantly, but I feel like we're going to see a lot of double shield, or potentially, if Orisa's not good enough, we'll see this like some double off tank shenanigans with Sigma. That is what I'm scared of. Now I say that
Sigma
hesitantly
Hog coming back.
I don't know like how good like Orisa is, like if she's capable of playing main tank anymore, like compared to say a Winston dive comp with Echo, Ana, McCree is still strong, like you guys said. Like I don't know how those compositions fare against like a double shield Orisa Sigma kind of composition with say McCree, Brig Ana, or a Bap Ana, or like something like that. I feel like those compositions are going to be so stable. You nerf the hold cooldown of Orisa, you can start playing Road Dog and stuff like that, or even throw like accretions with a halt. I just feel like we're leaning a lot of double shield, but I'm not sure if Orisa's good enough.
I was just thinking about it now. What would actually be pretty strong? I like the idea of the pocket. This would obviously be on certain maps, and I think a lot of this, like with most hero pools, like we saw last year, it was very much a certain map kind of thing. And in fact, the meta this year has been quite map dependent too.
Yeah, definitely. It's been heavily map dependent.
I was thinking something like a Ashe or a Kree that's pocketed by Mercy, Ana, dive tanks, Monkey Diva, and then a Doomfist to help finish off as well. Kind of, while I think the whole buff is like quite strong, because the Halt is like a ridiculous ability for just dislodging people and even stopping dives as well. Like Doomfist fucking obviously hates Halt. You want to use like one cooldown, and you want to use one cooldown in, one cooldown to kill somebody, then one cooldown out, ideally, with the Doomfist, unless your tanks are in there brawling with you as well. I really think like a long-range poke Ashe or Kree with an Ana and then dive DPS, dive DPS, and then the dive tanks would be quite strong as like a comp against even double shield. Doom can interrupt a lot of what Sigma's got going on, is what I'm saying. And like Batiste too, which is you definitely want to run in a double shield comp because of the immortality field, plus the AoE healing is ridiculous. Like maybe something like that. What do you guys think along those lines? Again, incredibly map dependent, but that's the first kind of comp that came to my head.
The first thing that I was thinking about was the Ashe Echo, like the double bubble comps, but you can use the Diva, but with the Ashe Echo, because that was what people were playing quite a bit of on control maps and stuff. And especially when there's no Tracer, no Sombra that you have to worry about flanking, it feels like both of those DPS can just be very forward-facing and focused. The thing that I'm wondering about, though, is how that really matches up against a double shield comp. Because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the time if you're facing a double shield, you have to be very reliant on either getting an ult cycle online to be able to break their position and keep the momentum rolling, or you want to be trying to go for something that has a large amount of poke. But I suppose Echo and Ashe both can poke down.
No, I personally think double shield is still going to be. I think double shield will be more viable, but it's still going to be hard to run, right? Because it has all the same issues in that you're not having to deal with the Zenyatta poke anymore. But if you still have a Mercy pocket and then you just have an Ana to build nano really fast for a Winston, and you just cycle your bubbles to get an Ana for a nano for a Winston, and then you just dive with the nano Winston and you have a Mercy to pocket the Echo.
That seems very hard.
Like, what are they going to do?
Double shield.
And then the McCree's just sitting back, like, and there's nothing to pressure the Cree, right? Because there's no more Tracer, there's no more Sombra, so you don't have any, and your tanks are not going to be able to do it because they're playing double shield. So you have like a free McCree. And that's able to get like damage boosted or just get perma-healed while you're nanoed into
there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I think if you're playing Echo, you have to have the Mercy committed to the Echo. Generally, is the thing. But like, I do think that like I feel like double shield has all the same weaknesses with none of the strengths now because of the fact that there's no way for you to like realistically like survive still because of sure you don't have Zenyatta, but you can't punish the Winston with a double bubble. It's very tough to do so, especially without a Tracer or a Sombra to hack. Like, unless you want to play, like, hoping that your McCree can get the flash through the bubbles and through the nano in time, but you're just going to build for the nano. Like, at that point, what are you playing for? Like, Doom? Is Doom going to be waiting to just fucking have a second boop on the Winston every time? Like, so I kind of struggle to see how double shield is going to beat a double bubble comp with an Ana to cycle nanos on a Winston.
Yeah. See, I'm worried about the Winston getting value, actually. That's where I think I disagree, because I feel like if you just like 6-stack and you just play like Brig Ana and you play like a McCree or Torb or something and double shield, like a Winston with Primal is not going to get the same value he did in Melee. Obviously, like if you play like Echo Winston, you could, take turns with the Primal Rages, the Nano Boost engages, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like... But I feel like you lose, like, I feel like it's a lot harder to dive those static kind of compositions without a Sombra, without a Discord Orb, or without a Tracer. So
I think you just have no value at killing anybody. You just
but you don't need. But I don't think you need.
But you don't need to kill them.
I think the important thing is using your nano or using your primal to be able to close the gap and disrupt the.
What I mean is the double shield comp. Like, good luck killing anybody.
Right.
Right,
yeah. Like, I mean, I see like a Torb McCree could kill people, but the thing is that like good teams are just going to keep their Winston alive, right? I think a lot of it hinges on, because I think Echo is going to be necessary. So much of it hinges on is the Echo going to get value more so than anything else in that comp, because the Echo has to be building duplicates fast enough, because duplicates will still, like, imagine a diving Winston with a duplicated like Echo, like. The double shield always loses to that, like almost always.
Like a duplicate Sigma that can get above you.
You can dupe the Sigma instant.
I mean, not even just the Sigma. Like, imagine like you have like even an Orisa to halt them, and you build a super fast supercharger. Like, I just don't see how double shield beats that currently, because double shield itself right now is so weak.
The thing I'm thinking about the strengths of double shield is that my brain immediately goes to where we saw double shield in the Melee, but those are on the strongest maps possible for it, because that was the only place that it was viable. So I still think like double shield Havana, fuck yeah, get that in there.
That'll be good.
Like no one else is. You can't play Rush against it. You can't play Winston on Havana. So surely the meta is going to be double.
But they
shield
don't have Zen anymore, and double shield also favored Bap Zen a lot.
Yeah, but I think you can still play with Bat Brig. I think playing with Bat Brig,
you can still play Bat Brig, but that also is less. That's still less burn, right? Without the Zen, less burn for a double bubble.
Definitely.
But I think the greatest case against double shield is like what you guys already mentioned, that like Orisa against a double bubble comp, like what doesn't really do anything. Like you halt every 6 seconds, and it's like what else? Like, or you need to hit a hook or like a really good value accretion, but otherwise you're just like a horse standing around and you're not really achieving anything. While a double bob composition is so like active, it has so many different kinds of ways to engage. Echo duplicate, nano boost, primal rage, all these kind of stuff. That a very proactive composition, whereas the double shield just like is pretty static. So
what about,
I don't know. Albert mentioned something about people practicing Roadhog and stuff like that. I don't know. But
so two things I wanted to bring up. First of all, a small tangent before we get to the main tank Roadhog again. the Chengdu composition that they were running, which was the Orisa Ball, which they were trying to use to counter the monkey engages. Are we seeing that, Avast? Is that the meta now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
is that the meta?
Not. That was one of the dumbest comps. Like, the thing is, it wasn't dumb. Like, I understood what they were going for, but the sheer, it's just like, it's like having 2 left feet in a composition. It's just awkward as shit. And like, you can't do like any normal things. Like, you can't tap dance. You can't fucking do any ballroom dance. You can't do shit with those feet. You can only do one thing and one thing alone. You can slide to the left. You can do the cha-cha slide to the left, and that's about it. So I don't think the ball Orisa is ever going to be like meta unless they've banned everything else. Like, that's
it was also
not
pretty important to like, the only win con that you had, unless your opponent's fucked up, was the ball and the Sombra doing something together, and there's no Sombra, there's no Tracer.
Yeah, they can't even, because also ball can't even combo with anything now because like there's no Tracer or Sombra, right? Like maybe a Doom or like the Echo. I don't know. Like,
hard, very hard. Yeah. Anyway, what the real meat of this is as well is the Hog main tank. We saw that in the meta last year, and it was extremely prevalent. It got more prevalent the deeper we got and the better the teams got as well. But it hasn't been viable since then. I think there was some balance changes where they nerfed some shit. I can't even remember what changed in terms of the actual details of the game.
They nerfed Scrap Gun?
Well, no, they nerfed, but they buffed it at the same time. They technically nerfed the damage, but they made it more consistent. So it did, I think that's what it was. Or they maybe made it less consistent, did more damage. It's one of the two is what they did.
And now they buffed it again.
Yeah, and then they also had the buff for the scrap gun where like it knocked back more, so it would just like send you fucking flying.
Oh yeah, to another universe. Yeah.
So that was always really annoying. But
what do people run?
It was mostly the nerfs to the main tanks, wasn't it? That made Hog meta. They nerfed all the main tanks, and they were getting owned. And so everyone's like, "Fuck this! I'm playing Roadhog because I hate playing main tank right now," and that's what happened. So,
what do you think that seems viable right now to try and run a comp similar to last year's playoffs? Either Hog Sigma, Hog Zarya, running a Mercy in the backline with an Ashe or whatever, or a Mercy Pharah.
I could totally see that. For sure.
Without Tracer and Sen, I think it's going to be tough.
No, because you don't run it with an Ana before.
You would play Ana Mercy. You'd play Ana Mercy, have the Mercy pocket someone, or even a Lucio, and you just speed them around, and then your tanks are just little shits doing little shit tank things, and then you have like that could be the Doom comp. You could run Doom in that. You could easily run Doom in that comp. God. There's no Sombra anymore.
This
Act the
Roadhog
or the Doom. Like, it's actually just the fucking bar fight comp. That's what it is, and you're just gonna run around like.
I don't want to watch a bar fight for 5 weeks.
That's what it's gonna be. I you know what? New prediction. It's bar fight comp. Bar fight comp for June Joust. There we go.
Oh my god.
That'd be pretty good. I think that'd be pretty great. Did you not enjoy that composition? I thought it was pretty fun last year.
Paul. Look, Josh, I like the missionary. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Johnny likes it vanilla. All right, I get it.
Don't need to fucking get overly complicated.
Johnny only does procreation. He only fucks for procreation.
Reinhardt main tank, a Winston main tank, play the Wrecking Ball, have an off tank, play some Overwatch. That's all, okay? You don't need to fuck around with all these different wild combinations. Wrecking Ball Orisa, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, don't need that shit.
Johnny puts the mayo on his sandwich. He's like, ooh, that's spicy. Ooh.
Actually, I had a sub today with mayo on it.
Wait, you had a sub that only had mayo?
No. It had salami, lettuce, and tomato and shit on it too. But it was mayo and a sandwich.
Okay. They also tweaked the map pools a little bit. So hero pools still, we don't exactly know what it's going to be, but some kind of Winston or double shield or
it
could be the brawl, the bar fight comp as well. But yeah, map pools change. Anything cool in here that you guys see? I see the return of Junkertown that strikes fear into my fucking
Paris,
heart.
and I'm like, I don't see Paris in here, Jaws. I'm not seeing
trying to bait.
Where is Paris?
Trying to bait. Yeah, I don't like Junkertown as a map personally. The first fucking sucks.
I think
Junkertown, the bar fight comp is actually like that Sigma Hog shit, or would be so good on Junkertown right now.
Yeah,
because
with the Legger on the right. I
think that would actually be insanely good. Like, you play like double sniper.
Yeah, double sniper just feels like there's no great way in this meta right now, it seems, of turning up the tempo because you don't have the Tracer and you don't have the Sombra. So it's not like you can go for anything that's like extremely aggressive. I mean, what would you even play to try and dive?
It's bar fight. Yeah. Like, you have to play bar fight. Like, that's
this
it.
podcast is cursed.
What are you talking about? That's so good. If someone starts, if you guys start using bar fight on broadcast, I'm telling you, I'm demanding royalties.
The bar fight,
Demanding
the bar
royalties for
fight comp.
fight.
I like it.
Comp, yeah.
Pretty good name. I love Rialto. Love that map. I'm happy to see that back as well.
Yep, Rialto's a good one.
It's
don't mind don't mind a little bit of Hollywood either. To be honest, Hollywood.
I actually really like Numbani too. I know that might.
Yeah, Numbani's amazing. I think Numbani is one of the best maps in the game, aside from third.
The only thing I hate about Numbani is the
playing
science,
Numbani is just the worst. Like honestly, I rated it really high in a map tier list, but point A on Numbani is just torture. Like actually, obviously that's in on attack. It's great. Torture. It's torture to play. I don't know.
I think it has a lot of
but
I think Point A has a lot of cool
I'm very
to
much comparing this to ranked, like a fucking ranked experience versus like actual Overwatch League play. Watching an Overwatch League, pretty fucking sick because there's a lot you can do on Numbani, and it feels like it's a map with 3 different maps on it, like in terms of the compositions you can run for point A, B, and C. Although B never really existed ever, but I mean maybe that will change. We'll see.
Like Joel said, it is sometimes also the map in ranked where you're just like, oh, the defense is playing Orisa on the corner on point A, just like behind or like a bastion with her, and then you just lose, and you're like, well, we thought we were good at this game, or just lost to Orisa on a bastion in a corner, and we couldn't do anything about it.
Overall, though, I think this is a good map pool. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. We've got a lot of
decent.
A lot of maps that are good for snipers. We've got Hollywood, we've got Junkertown, we've got Rialto as well, actually, is pretty decent for that too. Seems like
Eichenwald, not bad for a second point.
Yeah.
Downtown and Ruins for Busan and Ilios.
Sure, but the Jaws, those are always in the map pool. Every control map is always in the map pool, Jaws.
Yeah, and I'm saying they're good sniper maps.
All right, I appreciate it.
He's not wrong.
I was talking about new maps, but whatever. All right, fair enough.
All right.
Okay, let's... I wanted to take a look through some of the teams in the June Joust and do a little bit of a preview of them because I had a question for some of you. I mean, I don't know whether we're going to get through every team, but here's a question. Have you guys taken a look at the strength of schedule for the London Spitfire or the Vancouver Titans?
No, I'm not a strength of schedule Samuel.
What? Really? You think every game's winnable, huh?
I am actually that. I just wanted to be an idiot. So yes, I am. But I haven't actually looked at the schedule.
We're taking turns. It's all right.
Do you have the schedule? Okay. Here's the London Spitfire. Florida, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston.
Tough.
Do any of those seem winnable?
Good luck.
Well, a team that's already 0-4?
Maybe. If you were to ask your average European Overwatch enjoyer, perhaps they'd be like, guys, winnable. British Hurricane, they got this. But, I say no. I say no.
Kurt, would you like to bring up the Vancouver Titans? By the way, both of these teams 0-4 right now as well. They have...
Oh, my God.
Man, well, no, there's just no fucking way. No, wait. I'm about to inhale a massive amount of copium, and I'm going to do something. Okay. I could theoretically see, with Reinhardt being gone and Tracer, I could see Titans potentially having a really close match, maybe even winning versus Rain.
Are you serious?
I am totally serious. Think about this. No rush for Rain.
Yeah.
Titans, Shredlock, Orisa's his best hero. Also, they still have Terume, and there's no Tracer available for Rain to kind of pull up and just like fuck it all up,
Maybe winnable.
Okay, but also counterpoint to that as well.
3-2 situation, maybe.
The Vancouver Titans have only looked good when they were playing Rush so far too. Those were the only maps they were able to get, wasn't it?
But we haven't seen them play Orisa yet. That
Do
much.
you really think that low of Gator and Hawk from last year when they played Double Shield?
No. I don't think low of Gator Hawk. I think low of the Atlanta Rain. Two different things. I just don't. This team still just fucks it up all the time. I was actually an original Gator and Hawk defender because I casted them in any contenders, and I was like, oh yeah, I think these guys are really good. Though granted, I do say that, and Gator also has a really good Orisa. So
yeah.
And
he's got a way better Winston than like.
Do you take it back yet?
So yeah, maybe I mean, it was a moonshot. I wanted to pull out.
He's trying to shoot them any bit of hope he possibly can.
I was trying to issue a hot take for the Titans, but legitimately, no, probably not. No, they're probably
make it a YouTube title. Get the abuse in, and then you'll backtrack. It's okay.
Yeah,
We'll make that the title of the video. Avast thinks the Titans beat the Rain.
Yeah,
and that's just the whole title.
No, I probably do think Rain definitely wins that. Probably,
okay,
so.
Well, here's my question to you as well. Which team gets a win first? Does it happen in the June Joust?
Titans.
Does it? And when does it happen?
Titans get a win first, 100%. Titans look like the way better team to me currently.
Okay. Let me inhale some of this copium. Okay. Go back. Back to London.
What is going back to?
Go back to London. What if? Okay. OG Orisa. Not really his, forte.
Okay.
What instead? We got Hardy and Molfig outplaying the Florida Mayhem. They're still hungover from their trip to
OG's just going to play Winston, man. He's just going to play Winston. They're just going to play double bubble.
I give up.
There's no winning with that. Like, if you can make the argument for Rain, right? Because you can make the argument for Rain, but you can't for Mayhem because Mayhem wants to play Winston.
My dealer sucks.
If it did become like a hardcore double shield meta, maybe the Florida Mayhem are looking a little weaker, but also I'm not feeling great about.
There's no way they play double shield. There's no way.
No, there's no fucking way. Like, Mayhem are going to play double bubble or Winston Diva.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe if it gets around to like June Joust playoffs and that is accepted as the only thing that is viable, but not at the beginning, not like the first week.
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
There's no way, mate.
So the other team that's 0-4 right now is the Valiant. So are we able to take? So I think, am I wrong in saying that? I can't remember the standings off the top of my head. Does Paris have a win yet?
No, Paris won. Yeah, Paris won. They beat Vancouver, right?
Oh, they beat Vancouver. Yes. Sorry, I do remember that. Okay, so the Valiant 0-4 right now. Apparently, according to Over.gg, ranked 16th in OWL. So God bless the teams in 17th to 20th. Who's down there?
The Defiant? Okay.
Wait, how is the Toronto Defiant that far down?
300 points ahead, Boston.
It must be keeping the ELO from last year or something.
I think it has like a collated ELO.
Okay, it doesn't matter. The point is, the Valiant are also 0-4. So add them into this discussion. Is there a chance that they get a win? They're playing against New York, who've struggled recently. Playing against Spark, they've looked.
Yeah, but Spark are on the up and up, and we're going to a Winston meta. And they're hopefully Shy just plays for the rest of all time forever. So.
Okay.
If they manage to Woolworths pick a mix bag their roster again during June Joust, maybe the Valiant win. If they just really drop the ball and just never play Shy. But there's no way. I
can see them beating New York, maybe.
The best team they can beat here is New York, 100%.
If you had to take a team out of London, why is my brain disengaged? Vancouver, and the Valiant. If you had to take a team out of those three, who gets their first win first?
It's much more likely to do the Valiant this stage, right? Probably the Valiant this stage.
I'm not even saying this stage. I just mean their first win of the Overwatch.
Oh, in general, I'm still going for Titans. I'm still going for Titans. I think Titans are the most likely to get their first win out of all three, just overall. Yeah. This stage, Valiant.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Cool.
Oh, you're going Titans too? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares? I'll go with London because who cares?
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
but for real, I don't know. Okay, you go with the Titans. They have a tough schedule. London, they also have a tough schedule. But who knows? Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe they can do it. I don't know.
I think maybe Valiant because of the June Joust.
See, I don't think that Valiant does it because I think actually that Guangzhou will look better in this hero pool. And at that point, it's no, I don't think you're going to beat
Don't give me hope.
Hangzhou.
Don't do that.
Well, they're not even playing Guangzhou, so I don't even know why.
But I think they win over MYXL if they win over anybody.
Yeah, I just don't see them leveling up with this hero pool and beating Hangzhou or New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe New York, actually, but I don't know.
Here's another question to fire at you as well. What does the Philadelphia Fusion stage look like? all right, we don't know the meta, so this is always going to be like our previews of the June Joust are always going to be wonky because we don't exactly know what's going to get played in this hero pool. But when you look, when you look,
pretty decent.
Okay.
Pretty
Fusion should booty butt pound this stage.
Pretty
There
decent,
should be
yeah.
they should absolutely clap cheeks left and right like Odin the Allfather himself right here above
What
Josh's
a
house.
sexual podcast we got going on. Can we use a non-sexual terms to describe this team?
Well, first of all,
Like-
clapping cheeks isn't always like. Would you describe twerking as? You know, it could be. You could just be dummy thick and you're walking. You know?
okay,
Like,
yeah.
that could be it.
Yeah. Odin's just walking around clapping his own cheeks.
He's alerting Loki to his presence because he's so dummy thick. But
so I would
Matt.
say
That's the
I would
first
say a
time I'll ever
Fusion.
say that. I miss Matt. Jesus.
I'd be here regardless. Just deal with me.
If Fusion
owned.
don't go 3-1 at least, though, you're thinking this is a pretty disappointing stage for Fusion,
What a
right?
gargantuan failure, yeah. I think for Fusion.
So
Yeah.
they have a.
Unbelievable.
We were saying this in the last week's episode as well, but they have a serious chance of being 8-0 at the season's half before they even implement their full roster. Right? That's a pretty reasonable thing that could occur.
Which is kind of wild, actually, because I always thought Fusion were going to be kind of owned because they didn't have people like Astro
Definitely.
on their roster. But I mean, they are just gifted from the gods. Like this schedule right now, New York Hunters, Charge, and Valiant. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah, it's
actual
super free.
W's.
It's so free. Yep.
I mean,
no matter what the meta is, like even if it's double
Maybe
shield
not
or
Hunters.
Winston,
Like
it's
maybe
just free.
Hunters go crazy again. You know, they go sicko mode. But I mean,
yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
it. I don't
I mean,
see how
Hunters
they
are the
lose
best
this.
team they're facing.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
Hunters might get a level up though with this meta because there's no Ryan, right? And there's no, but like,
But you can't play the Sun.
yeah,
And
you
you
can't play the
can't-
Zen.
how
and you
do you
can't
play
play
ball?
Tracer, and you can't play so.
How do you even play ball? Like, Gaga's best.
Well, I mean, if they played, I mean, there's no Sombra, right? So like,
But what do you
there's no
combine it
Sombra.
with?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what if they put like the Jinmu Doom? But I think this is just an
The
anti-synergy. though.
Doom. I mean,
They could play- They could play ball Doom Farah.
I mean, they could also just keep Gaga on the Winston and versus the ball and
Yes.
try to put Gaga onto the Winston because Winston's good. Put Jinmu on Doom since there's no Sombra and do like a Lucio or like a Merciana or something.
Sure.
Like, I think Hunters could. This meta could theoretically be pretty decent for them.
I think it's so clear cut that if you had to make predictions for the June Joust, you'd have to select Shanghai and Philly to be the two that make it out of base.
Oh, I
pack.
mean,
Like,
yeah,
they're
yeah, no,
clear
I agree.
favorites.
Okay,
Yeah.
well let's take a look at Shanghai as well and see what they've got on their table too. Because they're another team that really leveled up towards the end of the June Joust.
No,
It was actually
this is
sorry, the
what
end
a-
of the May Melee.
what a schedule for them too.
Well, the thing is though, these aren't. Well, yeah, I mean they're not facing anybody that's going to be at the top of the table, but still, Chengdu isn't a free win. I think for either Philly or Shanghai at the beginning. And the Spark have been looking all right recently. And Seoul Dynasty, you never. I mean, if this becomes a hog main tank meta, Seoul do really look dangerous,
Dude,
right?
I'm gonna be so mad. I had that preseason rant about if Hog is back in meta and Gesture gets to play Hog, Dynasty's gonna fucking own again. And this could be it. Like, and they're gonna just own. They're gonna win everything. They're gonna win June Joust. And everyone's gonna be like, Dynasty's so good. Then the meta's gonna shift again, and they're gonna fucking blow. And Gesture's gonna be out in his Lambo in the streets of Seoul again. And like, it's just gonna happen again. It's gonna happen. Oh my god, it's coming. It's fucking coming. It's
You
happening.
can feel it. You can feel it. Yeah, they do look like the two favorites. Who are the favorites in North America?
Probably for this meta coming up. I mean, I probably still have like
I'd have Fuel.
Fuel,
100%.
obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask a question about the Houston Outlaws here then as well, because Houston did exceptionally well in the May Melee. They outperformed everybody's expectations for them. Even if you were high on Houston, you didn't think that they were going to be 4-0 at the end of the stage, including a win over the Shock. You just can't convince me that that's what you were expecting. Now, they didn't manage to make it into the actual tournament because they got flattened by a Dallas Fuel that was on fire. But they were still extremely successful, and they weren't just successful playing Rush, though that is the majority of what they played. They still looked good when they played Winston-based comps as well. Are they going to be able to maintain that throughout all different metas? Because I've I've seen enough to know that Houston are going to be good, but I don't think I've seen enough yet to know that they are definitely going to be at the top in every meta.
I am holding my Django and Piggy stonks. I believe they're no longer the Reinhardt and Zarya one tricks that I thought they'd be going into the league. I have full faith. I think this is a competent team, great coaching, capable DPS players, and a good tank line. I have faith. I have faith in the Houston Outlaws.
Avast looks unconvinced.
I'm just thinking. No. I'm not. It's not that I'm unconvinced. I'm just thinking about like what's the scenario for Houston, because I'm like, well, they don't have Tracer or Sombra for Dante, but then Dante can still play like Echo or Doom. Yeah, he can play Echo or Doom. Honestly, like he could. I could see Fuel 100% busting out an Echo Doom comp. No joke.
Yeah.
I could totally see that happening. They put Doha on Echo. They put Sparkle on Doom, one of his best heroes. I totally see that shit happening for Fuel. They just play like Winston Diva or something.
Django and Piggy were very good tanks in the last year's playoff meta, where Django was getting to play Hog, and they were playing like Hog Zarya and that kind of stuff.
Outlaws, they don't.
Well,
I mean,
Zarya too, but
I mean, Crimzo, I would say Ana his best hero too, and they could still play Ana. Like,
just rise up again. I could see Outlaws and Fuel.
What's Juby's Mercy like? Did we see a lot of Juby Mercy?
I saw a little bit, didn't we? Only a smidgen.
Can't remember. Don't think we saw that much of it.
The Jake Mercy?
Yeah.
I will be upset. Is what I will say.
I did tune into his stream the other day, and he was playing Mercy with Dante. I was like,
I will be upset.
God, I'd love to see that.
Jake Mercy.
But if he pulls it out and he succeeds, then I feel like I'm not allowed to doubt anymore. If he pulls out the Mercy and he wins, I'll be like, fuck it. Okay, you win, Jake. You can play it. Fine. I'll never doubt again. Like, sure. Like, okay. But I feel like we shouldn't even be sold on the Jake Brigida yet, because he only played it like twice. Like, we shouldn't even be sold on any of the Jake supports at this point. But like, yeah, I think Outlaws actually could be. If Juby's Mercy is good, I could see Outlaws actually still being pretty good. I guess he could play Brigida too, right? We saw Juby Brigida. No, we saw Jake Brigida.
We saw Jake Brig mostly. I mean, I don't know what the playtime is, but Juby's Lucio must be way ahead of everything else that he played.
Yeah, that's the question for me about Outlaws is what is the Juby Jake rotation? What's the J&J no tiers formula happening over there? That's what I want to know. Because to me, everything else seems good for them.
Isn't Johnson & Johnson no tears?
No, it's no tears.
I thought it was
because it's a baby soap.
I thought it was tears in the skin.
No, it's no tears.
No, what? Do you think you wash your babies and they tear like paper mache? What are you talking about?
They have extremely sensitive skin.
Yeah, but you're using a Brillo pad on them to brush them.
It's no tears because the soap gets in their eyes when you're washing them, so they're not supposed to cry. It's no tears.
Why are you pouring Johnson & Johnson into your baby's eyes?
You're not pouring it. Oh, it just happens to get it. Why do you think they tear like paper? Why do you think they tear?
They have very soft skin.
You're trolling me. No, I won't engage with this topic anymore. Let's move on. Let's move on. I won't engage with this topic anymore. It's no tears,
more tears.
No. Move on. Go on. No, I'm not. I'm getting trolled. Move it forward. Move it. Next topic.
I swear that's what it is.
Next topic.
Okay. Are there any other teams that you're excited to talk about for the June Joust? Are there any other big storylines you feel coming in? Another one for me is the Washington Justice, but I simply don't know enough about like they don't have any Rhine. They should be looking good. If they're not, it's fucking worrying. But they do also have some tough games against Florida and Shock. But we're not even going to know until the week 8. So, I'm like,
I got a team for you.
Well,
okay.
Sorry. Well, Washington Justice, I agree with you. I'll just say that. So, we've added the bullet.
Also, they don't have. They definitely are still going to be. Their tank line should be good for this meta, right? Their tank line should be good. Now the real question for me is like, so Decay doesn't have Tracer available anymore.
Yeah, but he's got every long range hit scan.
But he has every other hit scan, right? Yeah, and so like,
or Genji.
And they would
they wanted
Mr.
to run
Doom Lover over here. Okay,
he does have
Assassin.
Doom. They do have Doom for Assassin.
Who's a sick Doom player? Okay, if you wanted to make that work, they could.
We have got lost down the Doom rabbit hole, by the way. Like some fucking
dude. But think about it.
I think Doom's gonna be pretty good.
It's actually so totally. If you have the ability to play Winston Diva and there's no Sombra, Doom. If you have a good Doom player, I totally think that's super fucking viable.
Okay. What's your team, Jonathan, that you wanted to take a look at?
It's on the page right there. Boston Uprising, huh? They don't have to play stand 1 Reinhardt anymore. They can play either Winston or Orisa. Valentine no longer has to flex to Tracer and shoehorn that in like he's Sparkle or something. He can just play what naturally comes to him. Myongbong can play his best hero, which is Ana. I think that this team could actually go, looking at this schedule, they could potentially upset the Gladiators if the Gladiators continue to just be like, the Gladiators that we came to know them in the May Melee. Go 3-1. That'd be a good stage for them. So, working on for them. I think they're going to improve relative to the May Melee performance.
You think Boston could beat the Gladiators? See, now I'm just going through my head in terms
of like... That's an upset. Yeah, I think it's an upset they're capable of. An upset. Emphasis on upset.
I'm thinking like Hog main tank. Like Hog Sigma, Hog Zarya kind of meta comes around again. The Gladiators have Muse on Hog. I've no idea how good that
Muse,
guy would
Muse
be on
is
that.
Muse. I've seen like clips from like ranked and shit. Muse kind of pounds. Like he's got strong mechanics.
And then are they would they try and run Mirror on Zarya if they ran that? Or would
if they play Mirror Doom?
That's another one of his better heroes.
Sure, yeah. It's probably his best hero, I think. But
yeah.
And then
I'm unconvinced Boston. I feel like I'm unconvinced Boston could beat Gladiators or Justice still. Everything else I'd feel like they could beat those teams. I could see them beating those teams.
Yeah.
Gladiators and Justice would have to fucking pavement to face like very fast.
It is so difficult to have any kind of preview when you don't know what the meta is. It's just extraordinarily difficult because teams play so differently in different metas. And like it just emphasizes different strengths. I'm trying to go through like fucking 4 different comp archetypes in my head trying to figure out if that's viable. Lord knows. All right. Is that all the major storylines?
I mean, also, I feel like the one thing we have to talk about too is like, is Shock going to return to form?
Sure.
Does Shock return to form, right?
Yeah.
Because in this meta, they don't have Tracer, which is, sure, they don't Tracer, but they have hit scan players. I mean...
Do they win all these games?
This does solve one issue for Shock, though, actually. No joke, this solves one issue for Shock, and that now they do not have to do substitutes between Smurf and Super. There's no Ryan.
Only Smurf.
Yes. Yeah.
So I actually think that's always been a major problem for Shock, right? It's like Super, he has really good other main tanks, but like it's clear that it's generally clear for Shock that they prefer to have Smurf playing for them on Winston and such. So like, but they couldn't do that last stage because you need to have the ability to play Reinhardt, and Super's Reinhardt is objectively superior. So
it probably solves some terms of issues for them as well. They seemed like they were struggling to figure out who should be playing DPS for them because strikers clearly want him playing Tracer, but they also wanted him to be playing long-range hit scan for them at various times. Well, now there's no Tracer. And if you want a long-range hit scan, it's probably going to be striker who ends up playing it.
Okay,
right?
So do you play like Taiyu to complement him? Or
wouldn't you try... Shouldn't we start bringing in Glister at some point? Shouldn't Glister be coming in? Yeah.
Definitely. Glister or Nero should be the people who are complementing striker, but I think it's become simplified, that whole...
I think this changes a lot of things for Shock, actually. I think this could be the resurgence for Shock, because there's no reason we should doubt them yet. Still too early to doubt them. They have too much history. Their players do good. I mean, Nero Doom's on the table now, too.
Jesus Christ.
It's there. It's there.
Yeah, it is. But okay, like he can play so many.
Sure. I will say that Fuel map that they match that they have second, their second match, the June Joust, or the qualifiers for at least, like that will tell a lot for the Shock. If they just get hyper rolled, then we will know where they stand. If it's a pretty close game, because I think Dallas Fuel in general, they're going to do pretty well. Just looking at the meta.
I think they're going to do okay, but for Dallas, I think it's going to come down a lot to whether or not they are playing the Winston comps or not. Like their team coordination is still really good, but if it's like the what were you calling it, Avast, the bar fight?
But wouldn't that still be good for them because Fearless can play Hog well?
Yeah, but I mean, against the Shock, you got Super in playing Hog.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's true. Actually, I guess that's also true. Is that if it's bar fight meta, Super could just play Hog for them too. So yeah, I think Shock's the hero pool actually shouldn't be terrible for Shock. It really just I feel like it lynches on there. It's kind of not lynches, but like it's very much a linchpin on Glister, right? Like what do they start doing with Glister?
Wasn't there a rumor he was going to the Fuel?
Yeah, but I think that was just literally a rumor that someone made up. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's not happening now. Who the fuck would trade You don't trade a good player to the team that just won the May Melee. You are just shooting yourself in the face, never mind the foot.
Well, you can if you want money. Like, I
If
could
you want money
totally
and
see,
then
like,
lose the league. Yeah.
I mean, if you tell me if Valiant had a secretly good player, I'm sure they'd be selling that guy in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah,
to the
but they're not
fucking
competing.
Fuel.
They're not competing with the Dallas Fuel for the title at the end of the year. Shock directly are. Also, the other part to this as well, the thing that we didn't discuss about the Shock, is that with Zen removed from the hero pool, it means that if the meta trends towards playing Mercy Ana or anything that doesn't have BAP, what does Violet do? Is Violet going to be in playing long-range hit scan for them or echo for them permanently? Because that is not going to work long-term. So either they lean into BAP Mercy comps, they could, or
they just have Twilight come in more, which is perfectly okay.
Yeah, or they bench Violet. But that is kind of bonkers, right? Unless they play double shield. If they play double shield with BAP Brig or something and he plays the BAP, then sure. But I don't think that's going to be permanent meta everywhere. That feels really unlikely that it would be the case. But otherwise, Violet's in a bit of a unusual position.
Interesting with the show.
Yeah,
I don't have a clear-cut answer for you.
It's odd. Yeah, it's odd, honestly.
Yeah, but I feel like for DPS, we'll probably just see like Nero and Striker in the entire stage if they don't want to implement Glister.
Shock actually did try to run some BAP Mercy in the May Melee as well. So I could see them I could definitely see them trying to do that. I mean, they won the 2019 playoffs running mostly BAP Mercy with like Pharah Bastion and stuff. With Violet just going batshit crazy on the Bastion. I could see them trying to push the meta in that direction. It's extremely difficult to be able to tell when the meta's this open this early on. Okay.
Absolutely.
What do we got? Okay, we got a report from I don't know who.
Sources.
What publication
was this from the
this?
Esports Observer?
I can't remember where I read it.
I'm pretty sure it was the Esports Observer when I saw this.
We'll bring up the source anyway, but the idea here being that Overwatch League and CDL have apparently allegedly loosened their sponsorship restrictions, and they've allowed betting and alcohol sponsors for, specifically hard alcohol, like liquor sponsors. Because you were previously allowed like Bud Light, obviously, but not, Kraken rum or whatever. But now...
did we ever have Bud Light on the official broadcast? Wasn't that just like a side kind of thing we had?
No. It was on the official broadcast, but it couldn't be on Twitch because you couldn't verify that
right. Oh my God. I remember one of those events in Atlanta, and they had to do like 2 different streams because they could only show the Bud Light commercial on one of the streams.
Yes, for anyone who's unaware, you're only allowed to use the FCC regulations, I think, mean that you can only showcase alcohol sponsors and presumably some other sponsors that are for people over the age of 18 if you can verify, or over the age of 21, I guess. If you can verify that more than a percentage of your audience is above that age, so that they're designed to stop you just marketing alcohol to kids, essentially. Yeah. And because you can't get that kind of demographic data from random people on Twitch, then we had to run multiple streams, one that was on ESPN with Bud Light and one that was on Twitch without that sponsorship. Someone's going to get mad at me for telling this story, but I think it was so funny. Okay. All right, here we go.
We were in Atlanta, and they had this like double stream setup. Set up then. So like it's the same feed like while the game is going on. Like it's one feed, right? But then as you go to like commercial or whatever to like show the Bud Light thing, it splits. And then you have 2 streams going on 2 different platforms, right? So they have made this, like the tech guys working on the Overwatch League, like they're geniuses. Like they really are. They know so much about like setting up the streams and feeds and, different sources and all that. So they have this button set up in the production room. And it's this big button that people are talking about and they're going to use it. And then we get to this moment. And then they're going to split the streams. So like we'll go into the Bud Light commercial or whatever. But it's really crucial that they hit this button because you can't show Bud Light on one of the like sources then. So go to commercial, press the button, wait for like 15 seconds. Button's not working. And people like, it was hilarious because people were like, shit. That was what the one thing that like couldn't happen. Obviously, they figure it out. Button starts working. Like they solve the tech issue, and like they like situation avoided. But that's one of the like. If you ever work in production, like when shit hits the fan in like unexpected ways, and like a mass of like 30 people freak out and just like fix it. Like I just it was so funny. So, but yeah, they solved the issue. But yeah, they had a specific button to make sure that they didn't show Bud Light on, I think it was a Twitch stream or something, because it, yeah, as Josh said, it comes down to the demographic, and you cannot like advertise to kids about alcohol and that kind of stuff. So,
which
I learned something new today.
There you go. There you go.
Before I was advertising alcohol to every minor that I met. So,
so can we bring up the article as well and just take a look at what it was saying? It's basically, yeah, Overwatch League and CDL have reportedly allowing betting and liquor sponsorships as well, which previously they were limiting to. Yeah, what's is anyone gonna give me the moral America stand that's like gambling bad? Won't someone think of the children? I've asked, are you going to give me that?
There's only one American here, and the other three are Europeans. And you, I mean, fucking, you guys are drinking at the age of like 15 and shit. So, and the answer is no. I don't give a shit. So fucking put that shit out there, because this is essentially, this is a main component of entertainment revenue, is betting and alcohol consumption. So, like, put it out there. Fucking get that shit. Get the sauce out there. Get the betting out there. Do whatever is required, because, esports needs that revenue in general. I don't
even think, looking back, that they were even allowed to sell alcohol in the Blizzard Arena. And I think, say what you will. Like, if I was an esports fan and they were like, hey, Johnny, do you want to come watch CSGO or whatever? Like, if I could have a beer while watching CSGO, I'd love that shit. So, like, obviously, I think that for a lot of people who are overage, going to a sports event of the kind and having like a beer, hot dog, or like whatever. I went to baseball last week. Can you tell? That
you can bet your mortgage on the match,
Well, no, I don't think I actually can. But, I could very much see a part of myself doing that if I was able to. Actually, we have gambling in Sweden. Don't gamble, friends. It's bad. So no, I think that's just like part of like responsibly, very responsibly. That's just part of like the like the going to a sports event kind of thing as well. So we're not on Disney Channel anymore. So I think this is good. If you're just like a casual fan of sports and esports and you're overage and you're responsible, like yeah.
All right. Pretty chill. Okay. Joe's got taken out by a hitman in the middle of that as well.
Yeah.
There's one piece of roster news as well. We already covered last week kind of the big roster news of the break between the May Melee and the June Joust, which was Pine being signed to the Dallas Fuel. So while we are heavily anticipating his first showing, that won't be until the end of the June Joust, they said. But there was another piece of roster news, which was Rhea, who announced his retirement. Is this? Yeah, from Overwatch. Now, I didn't see this piece of news, so someone else is going to have to fill me in here. But it always felt like Rhea didn't really have a place on the team because Fury was signed immediately afterwards. So I assume that was a big deal as to why this has occurred.
Well, he said family business.
I can't imagine you'd find a place to play him at all. Did he give a reason? Sorry,
he did. He put out a post. He put out a post explaining it. Let me see if I can find it again, because I don't want to use the wrong terminology for it.
It was something about his family, right? Taking care of his family or something like that. So, understandable if that's the case,
Found it. So he put out a statement. Okay, actually, no, I lied. They didn't. They didn't actually. I can't find the statement anymore. I lied. I'm getting baited. Never mind. Well, the point being, either way, I feel sad because I feel like Rhea was was one of the better parts of Spark in 2019 or 2020. I think 2019.
2019, when they were playing Goats, Rhea looked excellent.
Yeah, but maybe just never kept up with the times. I feel like, and also on top of this, how is he going to play over Fury?
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate. I think it's an unfortunate player retirement, but maybe it coincided well. Like he wasn't getting a lot of play time. There it is. He has a post. Don't know what it is.
Has anybody translated that? I know there's a lot of very
right under the tweet.
Yeah, I mean it might be.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, I mean this is someone who's self-described as not very confident in that ability, so I'd rather. But I mean, this will give you some decent idea, I guess.
Someone saying you could be wrong, but it sounds nice, and just that's right. That sounds right to me.
Yeah,
I mean, so we don't actually know exactly what Rhea is retiring for. Oh, there we go. Wait.
Yeah, but that's Google
Translate.
That's so much worse. Google Translate is like how you get the wrong impression of what's going on as well. I think I've been running really busy last year. Yeah, so I mean, whatever. But the former translation of the other person said that they mentioned a wrist injury as well. So maybe that's, there may be multiple reasons involved here. I just like to say I enjoyed watching Rhea, and I hope that he's able to enjoy spending more time with his family and can help them out and just chill over there.
Yeah. Who knows what his career could have been if he wasn't on Justice is the thing as well. It's just one of those unfortunate situations where like Fury probably became available at a later date and they're like, we got to get Fury, but we'd already signed Rhea. And like Rhea had that Spark connection because Mask or Supreme used to be on Spark, not Mask. So like, it's just an unfortunate situation as a player. And for a roster too, because no one wants to like waste a roster slot and like the contract, like money.
Yeah,
so
we talked about this going into the season. Just like it was pretty odd at the time, but it's unfortunate because, as you said, like I enjoyed Rhea as well. So I would see him more one day.
Okay, so now we've got a very special segment. I don't think we've ever done this before, but we're gonna do. It's not a power ranking; it's a tier list. What might be we tier listing? Huh? You're asking? This is. Coming out of the May Melee, a lot of people saying that this was the best the Overwatch League has ever begun, right? People saying this is the best stage of the Overwatch League. So we thought, let's put it to the test. Let's make a tier list of the Overwatch League stages. So which stages were the best? Now, we can be as subjective as we like when it comes to this. Were they the most fun? Did they have the best finals? Did they have the best meta? Did they have the best production, the best crowds, whatever we want? But I think combine it all together and boom, here's your tier list. We've also got each one of the tiers is kind of down here. I provided to Kurt kind of one hero that I thought was very pivotal in the meta or in the final, and a team that did extremely well in that meta or in that final as well. Just to kind of jog people's memories in case they forgot, because it's been a long time since like 2018 stage 1, stage 2.
Kurt made this because he's a genius, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt does do. Man, my fucking decrepit neurons. I have to fucking sit here. In this time, I have probably put forward like 800 terabytes worth of bullshit and memes through each one of these stages. So like, I have to wade through so much stupid shit to like actually get.
I'll be your guide then. I'll be your guide through history because I looked them up recently as well to jog my own memory. So I think I'll go through them chronologically and you guys can kind of maybe get your memories jogged and plug them into it. 2018 stage 1, we begin. Mercy is a moth of the highest caliber. Double resurrects, Double resurrects in Valk all over the place. The NYXL and the London Spitfire are doing extraordinarily well. There's that crazy thing where I think London beat Houston in a 5-map game and then went on to play New York and ended up beating them as well in what I think was a reverse sweep. It was truly a ludicrous amount of Overwatch being played that day, and it was a huge amount of fun. It was the first stage ever in the Blizzard Arena. It was the first stage finals, but it was also Mercy Moth meta.
See,
any neurons firing up here? Do you guys remember what was going on?
I remember that.
That was the Jake Junkrat though. That was the one stage Houston was good for like 2 years.
Yep.
I honestly kind of think that first stage was not bad.
Yeah,
I think the first stage was actually pretty good.
Oh, is there an S? Is there an SABCF?
Yes,
there is. Okay,
I think
I'd put it at a B.
B? Well, are you just doing this because you hate Moth? Because you're not the player, but Mercy.
The Moth meta double instant res is dumb.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you got to keep in mind how horrible that meta was. That being said, that final day of London
pretty
beating
damn good.
Houston
The Overwatch
and
was
London
good.
beating New
that
York.
we
Okay,
played.
I
wait
think
there
they
as
played
well,
like,
though,
14
because-
maps in a row.
Jesus Christ.
13?
We're talking about the whole stage as well here, folks.
Yeah, it's the
this
whole
is the
stage.
first
Okay.
ever time in the Blizzard Arena. This is the Seoul Dynasty playing
Yes.
against the Dallas Fuel
I
popping
mean,
up.
remember
A.
Dallas Fuel losing to Seoul Dynasty? Like, I feel like stage 1 should at least be A tier.
It's
because
gotta be
also
A tier.
it was the one stage where Houston was good, and like everyone was hyped up. That was when everyone was pissed about Houston fans screaming into our ears in the arena. Remember that? Everyone remember that shit? Like,
That was awful.
went
it
on for
definitely
months,
deserves
mate.
at least A tier, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
like, but I am fair to give everyone else for like stages 2 and 3. I'm fair, put it down to like put it lower tiers, but I think that one should be A.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Okay, all right. Stage 2. This is where we had a huge amount of Widowmaker getting played. It was the finals ended up being the Philadelphia Fusion playing against the NYXL. This is where Libero was playing Widowmaker as well in this stage because they had swapped around the stuff that people were doing on the team, and we ended up in a real awkward position like that. But there was a lot of dive still being played. I think we started this stage where Mercy was trending out and people were playing Lucio or something weird like that. People were playing like Lucio Zen or something at the very beginning of this stage.
Valiant was good in that, I think.
But by the end of the stage, Mercy was back in the meta full time, I think, with the Widow. What are you guys thinking about this? It was our first taste of Philadelphia Fusion heartbreak.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
that's the peak of this stage to me in terms of what I remember, honestly.
I loved this stage.
Really?
I think this is a really good stage. The meta was phenomenal. I think this is an all-time stage, and my greatest analytical achievement in my career happened in the grand finals where I predicted the New York Excelsior reverse sweep on the desk against the Philadelphia Fusion. So yeah, I'm going.
Well, I feel like I feel like you're being very biased here because you just said the meta was phenomenal. The meta was not phenomenal. It was all just double sniper.
Yeah, it was pretty stale,
I really
wasn't
liked
it?
watching it.
It was fun to watch the
Double Sniper.
Widowmakers,
Double
but
Sniper is very boring. It's
I hate
like,
Double
I
Sniper.
click your head.
What?
Oh, well, reset.
Yeah, I fucking
No.
hate double sniper. I think double sniper is actually like worse. Is like goats tier meta.
see,
So-
No.
I would put this.
No
I would put this
way.
in the B tier personally, because
Was this the Great Bamboozle? Where was the Great Bamboozle?
that
for
was the
Gladiators?
playoffs of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how mixed up my memories
Jonathan,
are.
do you think it ranked at the same level as stage 1?
Okay, I'm going back to try and find the VOD. Where is the VOD? Uh,
But you're only thinking of the final.
I'm on MLG.com. Yeah, sure. No, yeah, because stage 1 was moth meta. That shit was tragic. That was like,
But it
holy
was
shit,
still Mercy meta in stage 2 and
that was a
and 3 and
horrible
shit.
time in Overwatch Esports, and
But
we were just
okay.
taken away
The
by
moth-
Pine on New York Excelsior and shit like that. Oh, it's
But
terrible.
the moth wasn't good, but everything else, first time in the Blizzard Arena, the incredible storylines, the hype of everybody involved, the crowds were enormous at that point too. Like it was packed every day, and we got to see that like ridiculous, not just final, but the whole final day, like championship
Also, if I'm not
Sunday. or
remembering,
whatever it was.
wasn't the meta
you're
varied?
weighing like how many how much serotonin the competitive Overwatch Reddit has throughout the stage.
Yeah,
Is that what you're weighing?
that
here?
should count.
I mean,
that should
that's
count.
factoring
it in.
Yeah, that should
Okay.
count.
Isn't that what a tier list is?
Also, wasn't
Just-
the rest of the heroes like pretty married? Not married, pretty. Well, they're probably all married in some OC, some fan OC things, but like pretty varied. Besides the moth, wasn't like there was a lot of different heroes being played still, and it was dive.
Well,
Am I
I
remembering
think it was.
properly?
I think it was. Yeah, no, there was a shit ton of meta diversity because
There was like Genji,
bad.
Tracer, McCree. Like there was a bunch of shit. You know.
I mean, there was also Junkrat and the.
Wait, this is on the Overwatch website as well. They have the hero usage thingy that shows every stage in Overwatch history.
Okay,
I'll see if
well,
I can find it for you, Kurt.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought stage 1, if you have to include the opening, like, because that was when it's like, stage 1 was the adolescence, you know? We were fresh-faced. We were hopeful. We were like, this is Overwatch League, you know? And also you have to think about, it was miraculous because the game was dead before stage 1 of Overwatch League. Like, they had killed the game. They had killed the game in 2017.
Oh, we had we'd just come off the Contenders Finals, the first ever time in the Blizzard Arena.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say
October.
but the Contenders Contenders was great and all, but it still was like not some sort of like
Oh no, it wasn't great. It wasn't phenomenal. It was just.
But that's what I'm saying by like, you know, it was great and all, and like, oh, it was okay. But like, essentially, the game came off being fucking. It was Frankenstein back to life by Overwatch League, and it was really crazy because opening day was what, like 500,000 viewers or some shit. There was like some insane amount of people watching. Like everyone was pumped. The meta was crazy. Pine rolls out. Just like you have to include that as like a good stage, you know?
Yeah, I mean, stage 1 is also the first occurrence of Pine, like with Doa's Call, the big boss Pine, and he's just killing people left, right, and center.
I feel like that has to be an A tier.
Stage 2, it's a B from me, Jonathan. You got anything better?
All right. No, I can't. Well, I mean, I was gonna say A, but okay. Well, if you want to go B,
I would agree with a B only because it's. Oh wait, here it is. Okay, stage 2. Okay, this is about what I expected. So it still was the Lucio Zen like we talked about though, Johnny.
Well,
it was
the less mercy.
Zen,
A little bit more Zen. Yeah, but you didn't have double res, if I remember correctly. So you know.
Yeah.
And actually, Widowmaker continued even more during stage 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's because the meta kept getting refined as we went on. Stage 3 and 4, because then like
2 and 3,
everyone just realized it's so good.
2 and 3 blend together in my head because they were so damn similar. The only way that I distinguish between 2 and 3 is that 3 was when Boston had their perfect stage.
You're welcome, Boston fans. I was very much a part of that.
Wow.
You're welcome, Boston fans. I contributed pretty heavily to that one. So, but I think stage 2 should go below stage 3 simply because stage 3's storylines were better.
I would say.
Okay, I think you're a bit biased here.
But think about it. Boston went the first perfect stage, and on top of that, they lost their star player to a huge scandal, and they got a random Russian guy to come in and play, and that dude and they won, and they just fucking won.
It was an amazing story. It was
and there's also, I think stage 3 is what solidified as well, like the mythos of Striker and Gamsu.
And
was stage 3. And Krusty, and even Krusty, for sure.
But I do think they're on the same tier. To me, stage 2 and 3 are on the same tier. I think stage 3 is slightly ahead, but not significantly ahead.
I'll give you that. I'll give a B simply because I didn't find like. I'll give it a B. I mean, also, I could maybe argue stage 3 should give an A, but
I loved the battle of Striker and Sabi Olby. I thought that was a phenomenal battle in the finals as well. That was a lot of fun. Now, okay, any further comments about stage 3 of 2018?
No, I think B.
Yours
Did you put it like riding the line?
As well.
What was this when?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go on, Johnny.
No, was this when Boston won that super long overtime on Oasis?
On Oasis, yes.
And like Striker started crying or something?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and it saved the 10-0 stage. And it saved the 10-0 stage was that Oasis. Yeah. I think stage 3 should go in between A and B. Like, should ride the line almost.
I mean, if we're going to do that, then let's just put stage 2 in C. And then we have A, B, C.
I could be okay with that. I mean, to be fair, I don't think it should be like that simply because we're still riding the start of the Overwatch League high. So
What's the point in a tier list, though, if you're putting them in between the tiers? You're just fucking the system.
Okay.
I'll stick with the B.
All right.
I'll stick with the B.
Okay, all right. Put it back in the B. Put it back in the B. Put it back in the B. All right. 2018, stage 4. We had quite a lot more Orisa being used. Specifically, Fate on Orisa was a big key factor in why the Valiant were able to push ahead here. But also, this was the Valiant stage. This was the beginning of NYXL the slipping of their dominance. We had Spider Pine here. We had just generally the LA Valiant being a really well-structured team. Soon on Widowmaker.
Mickey Brigg.
Yeah, sure. We had Mickey Brigitte in this stage as well. To me, this is where the magic of 2018 started to break, actually.
Wait, when was In and Out for Valiant? When was the In and Out situation?
Oh, wasn't it like stage 2?
Was it stage 2?
I don't know.
Immortal In and Out agility.
Honestly, I'm tempted to put stage 2 up more, stage 2 and 3 up more, just because the memes were so fucking. Because the league was such a hot fucking mess that like it just was so funny. So like I honestly felt like the memes of season 1 almost deserve like the first 3 stages to be A tier, but
Wow. No, that I can't be on board
But
with
I won't
that.
do
Not
it. I
everything
won't
has
do it.
been
No.
A tier.
I won't make that. I'll keep them in B. I'll concede with B.
Okay. Do you guys even remember stage 4? To me, it is the least memorable stage.
It is my least favorite stage out of 2018 was stage 4. Granted, I also was in the middle of a team collapsing in 2018, so that was also tarnished my memory a bit. But
does anyone have?
I don't remember it as vividly. I remember like Mickey Brigg. I remember Dallas. Like people were ecstatic about Dallas Fuel showing signs of life in this stage.
Wait, Siegel, right? Didn't Siegel come out and play Diva because someone had to take a shit?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Taimu was playing like Widowmaker, and people were like, "Oh, it's a Taimu of old." And I think people were really thrilled about that. But I don't know. That didn't really do it for me. I'm sorry, Dallas Fuel fans. Like that stage didn't really do it for me. Gladiators won the stage 9-1. I don't remember that at all. They had like Silk Thread back then.
Was that when Fissure did? Was this when they brought in Fissure?
Yeah, they had Fissure, and then in the playoffs, he like benched himself, didn't he?
Yes.
Well, Fissure himself would argue he didn't bench himself, but I think so. So like, I think, so this is stage 4 actually had some interesting shit happen.
Yeah.
But to me, all of the interesting shit that happened in stage 4 is not particularly memorable. Like it just got lost. Also, the meta was pretty similar to stage 2 and 3. There hadn't really been that much evolution. There were some small changes, but not like significant changes. It just got refined a little bit. I want to put it in C personally because it's my least memorable.
Bro, I'm not
I
gonna
know
lie.
that Custer would be losing his mind.
The whole of fucking 2018, I just can't remember. Like I was stuck in the Ukrainian winter for like the entirety of 2018, and we couldn't watch the games because they were on so late at night. We just weren't able to, because they were on NA time zone and we were on like far European time zone.
You've
like
lived a harsh life.
Put Ukraine in ex-Soviet bloc tier.
Yeah, so like, dude, you're saying the memes, I'm like, I remember those memes. You're saying the comps, I'm like, I don't fucking remember any of this shit. Like, I mean,
look at the comps.
Seriously.
The comps are pretty much the same for the entire year. It's just that there was
but then playoffs. What happened is they started playing Roadhog Orisa.
Yeah,
right?
I remember the Road Orisa.
The playoffs were awesome. The playoffs are also not a stage. That's what we're not here to do. That we're here to talk about stage 4.
You know what?
It wasn't that good.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with the C tier for stage 4. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I pulled up a VOD to try and remind myself, and I pulled up Gladiators against Seoul Dynasty. Here's a few things on you. This is week 5 of stage 4, okay? So like we're just getting down to it.
Okay.
On the main tank for Gladiators, because apparently Fissure is not playing here. Maybe he like wasn't even on the roster. iRemix is playing Winston for the Gladiators. Hydration playing Farah. Seoul Dynasty has Kuki on main tank. Wikid, you remember that guy?
Oh,
He's playing Junkrat. And
Wikid was such a J Silly player.
This is a random timestamp and a random VOD I found. It's just nuts to think back about this time. Like really interesting comps though.
Well, this Farah Widowmaker actually was meta for quite a while in stage 4. If you remember, the Shock had like Baby Bay playing Widow, and then they had the Farah.
Oh God, Shock!
It was used on a lot of control maps as well.
Random shit.
Yeah.
But good times.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
Are we underhyping that though? Are we underhyping it?
I feel like the fans loved stage 4 probably.
Yeah, I thought fans loved stage 4.
Did they?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought fans loved stage 2 and 3 too. I thought everyone fucking loved. Like, I think the only
viewership went like this, Avast. And then peek back up for playoffs. You can't be telling me that people were loving stage 3 and 4 as the viewership was
but isn't that
slipping.
just like viewer fatigue because we had 80 fucking games a week?
But that's part of it, isn't it?
Well, are we rating stages based off like? Well, I mean, okay, sure, I guess. Like you could definitely say it. I mean, like, because I mean, fine, fuck it. Yeah, I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C. I honestly, I was there and I've seen so much. I've seen so much.
I think this is going to be extremely controversial, this stage tier list. I also feel like if Custer was here, he'd be shouting at me right now because it was the only stage that he won. Also, I feel like the fans in the comments are going to be losing their minds as well because they're going to remember things that I don't remember and like have different things that they're attached to.
Yeah, I mean, So tough. For me to remember.
We're four people against the hive mind of Reddit who knows all of ancient history. Like we don't stand a chance. But I think the viewer stance on this will be that actually stage 2 will be C and stage 3 and 4 will be B. That's what I think the viewers will think.
I could see that. I think we're underrating stage 4. Stage 3 and 2, we at least have like some solid reasoning. But stage 4, I feel like we're hitting it. We're underrating it a bit somehow.
All right. Now, what we're about to tackle here is the great GOATs era. Oh yeah. So the thing is, we're not doing the playoffs as well, though. The playoffs for 2018 were, awesome. We had the great bamboozle, etc., the double sniper meta, whatever. But here we go. 2019 is the GOATs era, but also had some of the most viewed and most hotly anticipated finals of all time when it comes to stage 1 and stage 2. So if we're starting here with stage 1, the Vancouver Titans Runaway has just been picked up. The meta is GOATs. It's our first time seeing GOATs. We've got the San Francisco Shock and the NYXL both performing at a really high level with Vancouver. Where does it rate in terms of all-time stages?
100%. S tier.
Johnny is pissed.
I hated GOATs so much.
Did you hate it in stage 1?
Probably not. Probably not. I didn't. Well, actually, wasn't GOATs like becoming meta at the end of 2018? So we had
contenders had GOATs.
Yeah,
contenders had GOATs for a long time.
Like best GOATs team, by the way.
Not 6 months. Oh, it was something ridiculous.
No, it might have been 6 months before.
Stage 1 should be S tier simply because it was the first time we got to take a dump on European fans. Like stage 1 S tier, stage 1 S tier. Immediately, stage 1 S tier. Go in there just for the failure of Paris Eternal. Put it up there. Get it up there. Let's get it up. And that also Eagle Gaming. Eagle Gaming was a meme. Like you have to put stage 1 S tier, man. And then also, we had a good stage finals, sure, whatever.
I mean,
but
stage 1 was also the Hunters with Eamon. It was Bumpers Reinhardt for the first time.
It was so good. It was so much sick Overwatch.
The thing is, though,
also, wasn't this the start of the Justice misery? Obviously, because Justice came into the league. Yeah, and then it was it was just right off the back of Wizard being like the most overhyped coach in the history of coaching. So this is S tier.
Wow, you're
That's
right.
an S tier stage.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
so what?
I remembered wrong.
The hard part about this, though, is that stage 2 is maybe my favorite stage of all time because it had the comeback of San Francisco and the establishment of the dynasty that was then going to essentially reign for the whole of 2019, 2020. And who the hell knows what is going to happen in 2021, but it's possible that the Shock could continue that legacy. This was the beginning of that because in stage 1 they had shown glimpses of potential but been punished for their overaggression and overextensions. This was really the season. This was the stage where they were able to just fucking plow and become who they had been meant to be. It felt like an anime arc. It felt so fucking good. So this is a stage that I would put in S tier. The rematch in the final with Shock against the Titans
was so sick.
Personally, to me, my favorite game of all time for Overwatch League. But I understand that it was GOATs. It was also starting to get a little old at this point. But the elite tier games were still superb in my opinion.
So it deserves A at least. But does it deserve S?
It deserves S tier on this basis, okay? Are you with me? Houston Outlaws drama. They won 4 maps the entire stage. And Monte Cristo did like a monologue on the Overwatch League channel about how upset he was that they weren't playing like the triple DPS or something.
That's right. And then all of Houston fought him, right?
Oh, and Flame was like, no, we've got to run GOATs. It's the only thing that's viable.
On your stream?
Wait, was this the Flame rant on my stream where I fell asleep?
Yes, I think it was.
Might have been it.
Yes.
Where Flame argued with ZP for like 3 hours, and I just got on the bed and fell asleep.
Stream. This was also Avast's companion stream popping off because I just made it to the US.
Yeah, because you had just been forced back into the US. So because so finally they had got you back to do your job, and so I mean,
are we really putting the only GOAT stages in S tier?
Yeah.
Oh man, people are gonna hate this though.
Yeah, but
people
I love
are gonna
it.
hate this.
I love
but
that people are
the
gonna
thing is
hate
that
it.
I can't even argue though. I honestly can't argue.
The people hated us
Stage 1
because
and
we
2
spoke
were
the
amazing.
truth.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
But
sure. I'll give it an S.
So
Yeah, absolutely. It's an S. Both of them are.
Stage
for me.
3 is where teams started playing triple DPS to counter goats. So we had Shanghai, we had the LA Valiant as well were doing this, and probably some other teams that I can't remember right now as well. And then we still had some teams that were playing just goats. So we had
I thought it was majority goats still.
It was still majority, but there was like a few teams that were really defining the meta and getting a lot of success out of that. But still teams like Shock were playing the Batiste goats at this point. No. Yes, Batiste goats. Yeah, instead of the Brig, they had Rascal on BAP at this point, I think. And they had, was that in stage 4?
Oh,
maybe that was stage 4, actually. No, in stage 4, we had Hanzo being played a ton. Yeah.
Stage 4 was like the Reaper shit with Moira and stuff. That was the rush with Reaper. I mean, Baptiste was in, so it would have been.
Bap was in for stage 3. So this was where we saw Rascal really dominate on Batiste and set kind of the boundaries of how that hero should be played. It's also where we saw Shanghai go from 0-42 to winning their first stage with Ding. I mean, this is famously as well, I think the same stage where we saw the Shang 9, although that might have been stage 2.
No, it was because Otto, or was it Youngjin, right?
It was Youngjin. Yeah, getting off the payload.
Yeah. God, was season 2 really this good?
Season 2 was pretty fucking great.
Despite the fact that it was like goats?
I don't know, man. The problem is, there were so many good, not just good, there were so many great legendary moments, but all of the terrible games, every time you got a bad game, it was unwatchable. It was like actually unwatchable. Watching the Washington Justice playing against anyone was painful to witness. And yet
Florida
watching these games were incredible.
At this point.
Well, so was Boston. Boston was playing blase like fucking tank and shit. Like we see it right now.
Okay, 5 teams won 7 or less maps in stage 3. They were so far away from the absolute best. Dallas Fuel won 6 maps. Boston won 7 maps. Florida won 4 maps. Toronto won 4 maps. Washington won 2 maps. They were so bad that they made every game they played excruciating to watch.
Yeah.
But then the good teams were obviously so much fun to watch.
I'm honestly almost tempted to put stage 3 lower simply because I felt like at this point I was done with goats. I was really bored with goats.
But that's
on top of that, there was some cool storylines, but does it override? Does it override everything else?
Yeah, I agree that this is where the serious fatigue set in for me. I liked the fact that Shanghai won playing mostly triple DPS, but I don't think that this definitely to me was not an S tier stage.
No.
I'll say that.
The fatigue for me set in, and at that point as well, I'd been casting over a year of goats and triple tank and contenders and stuff too, and I was so fucking bored, bro. Yeah. It was so boring to cast, man. And that's weird because I enjoyed playing goats too. I'd still probably enjoy it if it was meta, right? Every now and then. But it's the fatigue for me just killed it. That stage.
I could give it a B tier.
Yeah.
For the memes, sure.
Maybe. Well, not just the memes. Like the storylines are good, right? Like the storylines are pretty good, and there was some funny stuff that happened. But I could even theoretically make the argument for a C.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between a B and a C tier. I was just gonna leave that up to you guys, which one you wanted to drop it into. I do like the idea of Shanghai winning.
But I do, sure. I would personally put it in a C.
Yeah, actually, I'm agreeing with Jaws. I agree with you,
because there's so much fatigue versus one small moment. Honestly.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
2019 Stage 4, the rise of the Washington Justice. Corey's Hanzo dunks the Vancouver Titans and just swirlies them around as he drops. I don't even know what it was, but he dropped probably the hardest carry performance I've ever seen when he played Hanzo in that game against the Vancouver Titans. But it just felt pointless because you knew that they
didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it just literally didn't matter. So it was definitely a breath of fresh air because it wasn't goats, but it just kind of felt irrelevant.
Yeah.
I feel like it shouldn't be C tier it should not be C tier for sure. I feel like it was a good enough stage, like in retrospect, to where it shouldn't be low.
What was this?
Yeah. Oh my god.
63 final blows.
It was
Fucking
actually
Christ.
absurd. Yeah.
Well, it was also because this was the Justice storyline was crazy because like they were so fucking tragic, but they became like really good. You know, like they became like super good in this stage.
Yeah.
Like they were actually like on trend to like win type of stuff. Like they could have won.
Definitely,
Did they
yeah.
win? I can't remember.
There wasn't a playoff. There was
No, they
no
didn't.
stage 4 finals because
That's right. Yeah.
because we were going into playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think this, because there was no stage playoffs, and because the meta was pretty much irrelevant, and it was a bad team becoming good, which, you know, is a cool storyline, but that team was never going anywhere. To me, it does belong in C tier, even though it was entertaining. Like, it's the only one without finals as well.
I can't remember the stage. Like, I don't have any like fantastic memories. I remember like Stratus like dancing and stuff with the glasses. That's like
It was
what I
also
remember from this
Atlanta
stage.
Rain was good. Erster was playing.
Yeah, Rain was good
Hanzo
too.
and May and Pound.
Yeah, I feel like also the meta, even though the meta shifted, the meta was bad because
Oh
it was
my
like
God.
Orisa, Reaper, May.
It was
There's
the
a
ice
one when
pick.
pick.
Erster got a 6k on Eichenwaldo. He got a 4k pulse bomb or something.
That's probably
Maybe.
right.
Erster?
Maybe.
He got a 6k. I remember that
Maybe.
one.
I mean, that was the only. That's if you're gonna remember an Erster play, it has to be then because that's like the only time that Erster was relevant. Because since then he's been just banished. So
This was also the Florida Mayhem redemption stage where they're like,
Oh,
hey, we brought in
yeah.
all these Korean players, and like now they're finally showing a result. But like some people were overhyping like their performances and their rosters so high that narrative was so fucking exhausting. Like I hated hearing about the Florida Mayhem in stage 4 and
was
like
also-
how good their potential. Like I hated it.
It was also it was only like the beginning of that, because then you needed to see them in an actual stage where it mattered to be able to really like get the fruits of that.
I feel like this is where we're gonna start having some major disagreements because I saw the Mayhem and I was like, okay, this roster looks like it has potential. They have like flexibility. BQB isn't like a one trick because that's when BQB was pounding on Hanzo.
He was
Dude.
Gargoyle Roadhog.
Gargoyle Roadhog was looking really good. He played D, like I think Sigma or Diva or something, and then still was Sigma out at that point. I can't remember.
I don't.
He played another. I think he played Diva. That's what it was. He played Diva a bit too and looked good too.
Right.
But like he mostly played Roadhog. I feel like this was definitely like the start of the Mayhem redemption, where I felt confident about them moving
I'm
forward.
not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing. Like, obviously, they upgraded their roster. I mean, they had few, like, even like half the roster they still like got rid of to replace with like Gangnam Jin and those kind of players.
Yeah.
But I just hated like that we talked so much about an organization that hadn't accomplished anything in 2019, and somehow they become one of the most talked about organizations in a stage that was irrelevant for the regular season record.
So do you apply that same logic to Justice then too?
Absolutely.
to an extent? Not well.
I thought it was
yes,
even
but-
worse for them because they didn't even look like they had promise. They just looked like Corey was hard carrying them. It pissed me off more that Justice was like, people were like,
I
Justice
actually
is
totally
great. They're
agree
going to be
with
great
that.
in the future. And I was like, you must be watching a different team. Like the Mayhem, I was wrong on that. I thought they still needed to make some more shifts. I think they ended up making some small tweaks.
They made some more shifts.
But like, yeah, but fair enough. Like they had started that for Washington. I just couldn't believe it. It was the same as like
Justice. I agree with that. Like,
it was the same as
Justice,
like Dallas in 2018 stage 4, where people are like, here we go, Dallas is back. And it's like, no.
Because also Mayhem
motherfuckers.
started shifting their coaching structure too.
Yeah, I think so.
And like, because they had like Ryder and shit, right?
But does any of this actually change the needle? Does any of this shift the needle? Does it make it into a B? Because for me,
it's
it
a C.
doesn't.
No, it's a C.
Man, I don't know. I liked stage 4. I did. But if we're all agreeing for C, I'll give it a C. But I
I'd
like
borderline
stage
even
4.
put this in D if we had one. Like
We have an F. You want to put it in F?
no,
Fucking
I don't
awful.
think F is crucial. Yeah, no, that's cruel. I don't think it was
Okay.
an F, but
All right. Let's get cracking on 2020. Now, we didn't necessarily have a stage at the beginning of the year because we had the homestand model, which was supposed to be very different. But I've taken it out and put it on its own because we had homestands for like what, 4 weeks or something, and then it just got
how many
boomed
homestands
by
in
the
total?
pandemic.
6.
What?
4.
How many
Yeah, we had
homestands there were?
six. total?
We had 6
6.
in total. We had New York
I did
Excelsior
New
hosted in the
York
ballroom. Yeah, we
and
had
Washington.
Dallas Fuel. We had Philadelphia Fusion at the Met.
Justice
Washington
was
Justice
some.
at the Anthem.
Well, we
Houston
had two
Outlaws.
Justice ones, I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
Two Justice ones, yeah.
Yeah, Outlaws at the Revention Music Center. I don't know what that is. And then in March, we had another Washington Justice one.
Yeah, so that was 6 overall. There's just Justice was twice, yeah. So
yeah,
I personally think homestands are up in S tier almost because it's the model that was almost set out to begin with the Overwatch League, or not set out to be in the Overwatch League, but the vision at the very start of the Overwatch League was this kind of grandiose homestand model, and I personally fucking loved them. But I think the games were also really good too. I think having that big crowd at various home games was just immense.
Yeah, but the meta was still poo-poo, wasn't it? Wasn't the meta still poo-poo?
it was.
No, I don't think
it was
so.
when Diva was broken, so it was May McCree with the
Yes.
broken Diva, and you had like
Yeah, I think the meta was poo.
Diva and Lucio going
yes, it
around.
was
No,
May.
and also the whole stage got disrupted because of COVID.
Yeah, but
Oh, are we specifically talking about the homestands though? Just
I'm
the
not,
homestands?
I'm not talking
or
about the
beginning of
entire
year?
year here. I'm talking about like the segment of the year that was homestands, right? So yeah, there was no finals, no conclusion to it, no satisfying end. So you can weigh that part in for sure. But to me, it definitely is S tier because even though the meta was a little poo-poo, there was big fucking Rhine shatters, and the whole crowd is like rumbling your bones.
And
it was
self-destructs
just-
too. When Hopper was landing like crazy self-destructs in New York, that was
People-
just insane.
this was the season we moved away from playing 4 maps to everyone was a best of 5, which was a great change.
That's
as well.
also that was also an amazing change.
Big
yes.
pog.
Yeah, instead of like, every map matters. Here goes map 4 in a 3-0 series. Have fun. It's like, come on, dude. So yeah.
Are you
think this
not
was S tier.
convinced, Connor?
I mean, the thing is, I can't even disagree with the logic, but I just didn't feel like the beginning of the year was. I feel like, but maybe it's just because of the fact that it was disrupted so early that I'm.
We did have like Cheez-Its stuff happen.
Oh
like,
my
tech
Lord.
problems,
Yeah, but the
all of
Cheez-It
that.
stuff was fucking hilarious. So like, I mean, that was really funny to me.
Does that clip
Obviously, working in the
exist
studio,
anywhere?
Not as funny.
I've just,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
the-
100%.
Jonathan's working on the desk, and they didn't get a word out because it's just cheese it
so
playing.
funny.
And then the file path of the fucking thing that they were trying to run.
Okay, never mind. S tier. Yeah, sure. You win. S tier. That was actually super funny.
It was appalling. It was the worst production issues I've ever seen for a large company because they were on the road for the first time, and so they were still working out the kinks of how like a cloud-based system was going to work, and it was just the first couple of homestands were ruined by it. Like all of the supplementary desk and post-show and all of that they were just fucked. I felt so bad. I was in the green room with the players just watching because it was my first year casting, and look, it's just crunch time. Just for 45 seconds, and it muted all the audio.
Okay, I forgot about it happened during the matches too. You know, maybe it moves down to an A because some of the production issues were actually so bad that it like hindered the viewing experience.
It did actually. Now that I
actually think that might warrant an A move down.
I mean, it was seriously 45 seconds of crunch time in the middle of just a match.
You know the funniest thing too?
so
we
funny.
didn't know that happened. We couldn't see that. I was casting that series. I didn't know that happened. I was just casting it, and then obviously crunch time goes out to stream, and they don't say it. They're not going to say anything to us.
Yeah,
So me and
yeah.
Hex are just continuing doing whatever we're doing, and then I hear about it, or someone tweets about it, or like it's in a group chat somewhere. I'm like, oh, what? Look at the clip. I'm like, that's pretty sick.
It was very
It was disastrous.
draining. It was very draining and just like saddening because we had made the move out of Bala, the Blizzard Arena, and like so obviously you're missing that. We're getting homestands, but like we moved to a new studio, we have tech issues, and just like people are piling onto the Overwatch League. It's like your shit is not
Yeah, I
working.
say
and
A.
it's just
I
like,
see it should go down to A because of that. It shouldn't be S tier because the production
Oh.
issues actually ruined it a bit. Yeah, A.
oof. It was an oof.
Okay,
But,
I can get on board with that. Yeah, I can get on
Yeah.
board with that, especially because the meta was also not as great, and it did get
It was very
disrupted
boring.
too. Okay,
I
fair
agree.
enough. Fair enough. Those are A tier. All right, 2020 though. I don't know whether you guys remember this. I feel like a lot of people don't, but there was a long break after the homestands got cancelled, and
Yes.
when we came back, it was the viewership had been like halved. Like, there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the league for homestands, and then we took such an extended break, and people didn't even remember to tune back in afterwards. And the viewership was just in the dumps after that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And that break just fucked things up. Now, when we did reboot, though, we rebooted with a tournament format, so we came back with the May Melee.
Didn't we also introduce hero pools then?
Yes. Yeah. We introduced hero pools again. What do you guys think about this, the May Melee? For me, this is a hot take, and it feels rude to say so because I work for the Overwatch League. This, for me, was an F-tier stage. Like, my motivation and my enjoyment of the product and everything was the lowest it's ever been, which is not necessarily just because of the decisions that were made by the Overwatch League, of course. It was because of, like, the COVID, the pandemic had fucked things up.
There was a pandemic going on.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that it was it was like bad, how they dealt with it, but the combination of like the hero pools, even when me and Bren...
It's the first time as well where we were casting from our bedrooms and stuff too, and the setups and the...
It was a gross feel. Also, when me and Bren were casting the May Melee for Asia, an amazing final, a reverse sweep, everything is desynced by 2 seconds to the broadcast. So that final is just ruined forever. Like, it's just, if you go back and watch the VOD, it's awful compared to like what it could have been. There were just so many problems that, to me, this was the worst stage that has been produced. But for good reason, right? For very understandable reasons.
Are we missing all of the matches between, like, you mentioned, of course, there was a break between the homestands and then the online matches, but we played so much Overwatch in April as well, before the May Melee format. They're just like online matches with no tournament implications whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it was just hero pool. I think that was probably what you're talking about for me.
Sure.
But May Melee was still like, hey, we're actually like got games that matter for some kind of tournament going on. You know, as you mentioned, there were a few, issues going on, etc. But I feel like there was a sign of hope at the end of it. Like, I remember that video last year where was it you that like walked around everyone's like webcam overlay and were like, what's going on here? And then you're like when that happened, and at the conclusion of May Melee, I still feel like there was some kind of light that was like, this is the path forward. Like, more tournaments, more stuff like this. There was a source of enjoyment. Now, leading up to that, we might have felt differently. As you said, it was a pandemic going on, and we're now casting from our home setups. We went from home stands, massive crowds, and like peak euphoria with Overwatch events, to literally in our bedrooms, we're just like putting up like a stand behind us that was like, Overwatch League, here's some sponsors. As you said, that's not it didn't feel the same. Like, something felt off. Like, we took some of the entertainment away from why we love doing it. I understand that, but I still feel like there was some kind of hope with the May Melee, that it was a tournament, and it sort of set the foundation for the league moving forward in some sense.
I also think I might be approaching it with some severe bias here because I was involved in production on this side, but I also feel like, even if I'm thinking about it from a viewer's perspective, it was our largest drop in viewership ever, was going from the homestands to this, which is not just because of the product, it's also because of the break.
Remind me about May Melee. I need to remember about May Melee itself. Like, what was the hero
final was Mayhem
May
against
Melee?
Shock. It was Yaki's Tracer. Teams playing, the Tracer Ash was the meta.
Tracer Ash was the big,
It was, we'd had some clashes previously between like Paris and Atlanta were going to 5 maps.
I don't think it deserves.
There was some good games.
I think the meta was actually fairly decent. It was actually very exciting to watch. The tech issues and stuff, and the massive drop in viewership, plus COVID and whatnot. But if you just look at what the game was producing itself, at least a C, man.
If
at
there
least
was anything
I
really disliked about May Melee was that every team qualified for the actual tournament, and we had to add these like complete, like, I hated doing the 12 seed match. Like, we had a match to determine who was the worst, because only the second worst team could qualify and play in the main melee.
I think I did that series.
I hated
That
doing
was
those matches. I'm sorry.
yeah.
So that was like the bad part. But as you said, there were some matches here that I look back on and I really enjoyed, like Dallas Fuel, Decay popping off against the Houston Outlaws, and then going up against the Shock pick Dallas Fuel. Philadelphia, Los Angeles Gladiators. I love that series. We had both teams playing like Winston. Gladiators, they favored playing like Shaz, Ana versus Fusion, who played Alarm, Senora. There were a couple of really good matches here that I enjoyed. Florida Mame, of course, beating the Fusion, playing that Ash Tracer composition. And then Shock winning the finals that Josh mentioned. Yes, there was an audio sync, which is such a damn shame, because the finals was a reverse sweep from the Shanghai Dragons. Seoul were up 3-0 against the Dragons and got reverse swept in the finals because Fearless came in. He became the MVP for Dragons. There were still like some incredible matches here. One final note though, and then I'm done. Okay, this was probably the time I enjoyed playing Overwatch the least, because hero pools in ranked was an abomination. I hated it. It was terrible. So I will say that as a footnote. But Melee as a stage, didn't hate it. I think it's a C.
You know,
first,
I mean, when I hear this, though, I feel like if there's one stage that is going to quantify, because the thing is about the tier list as well, is that, like, I feel like it's good to have, like, Melee would 100% be the lowest point of Overwatch League, though.
Probably, yeah, sure. But I think maybe I'm just like weighting the playoff too big. But I felt like the matches leading up to the Melee playoffs, or like the online matches with no implication, was the actual, like,
Sure. No, that definitely is.
Because I would be willing to give Melee an F simply because I felt like it was the lowest point of the league.
You mean just to balance it out so that there's something in that tier?
A tier list meta.
Well, it's not just that. It's not that it's a tier list meta. It's simply the fact that, like, the F tier would be what we consider the lowest point of the league ever amongst them. And Melee fits the category.
I could agree with it being the lowest for sure. Like, it's definitely below a lot of the C tier. I would have tacked it on at the end of the C tier things, but if it's just going to be there, it might as well be F.
Like, I mean, obviously we don't have to put it there, but, like, do you really think that does any stage compare to, like, how brutal Melee felt at points? Especially because it was the first iteration of hero pools, and, like, the hero pool iteration when it first came out, especially for ranked, everything was just dog shit. Was just not good. So
sure, okay, yeah.
And teams like were an open rebellion too. There were so many teams that were so pissed about hero pools at the time. Yeah, like they were so fucking mad about hero pools when they first.
Did we not have hero pools for the beginning? Or when we were doing homestead?
I don't think so.
No. We played the same meta. No.
Because it was the meta from Stage 4 2019. It was the same fucking meta for the most part.
Okay, well. What are you thinking? C or F? Huh?
Sure, let's do an F.
All right.
I think if it's relative ranking, yeah, sure. I think
it's the only one that could be an F in there.
2020 Summer Showdown, the rise of Paris, the rise of Sparkle.
I thought that was very good.
The over in the other region, the Guangzhou Charge wins their first title in APAC, but I think the story was definitely Paris. This, to me, I enjoyed this stage a lot.
Yep.
It was Genji.
It was Hero Pulse. Well, I guess it wasn't Hero Pulse necessarily. It was just Genji getting buffed up the wazoo, wasn't it? It wasn't necessarily anything to do with the Hero Pool itself.
Yeah, because they were playing Genji like with Brigida, right? So, yeah.
So,
which to me defined it was even more cooler about it, because it was like technically playing against like a counter of sorts.
Are we talking A tier?
Minimum at an A.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
There was like the Genji thing had so many implications. Like seeing EQO back on the Philadelphia Fusion was like incredible, because EQO Genji is probably my favorite Genji of all time. Like, I enjoy watching EQO.
Oh yeah, also EQO had one of the greatest clutches ever
on Rialto.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
True.
Yes.
He had, and also on top of this, wasn't this? I'm trying to remember, but wasn't this the first time that Paris looked like really good?
Yeah, I think so. They started to look good earlier because they started having some nice flexibility. They started playing like Hanzo and stuff. Like when Fielder came in, they started like looking good. And then Sparkle turned of age for the Summer Showdown, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Sparkle, he became of age. Like, I think this deserves an A because it's the reversal of the Paris storyline. And also Paris is cool because they still had some French players in the mix. It was a mixed roster.
Yes.
And Genji was played, and Genji is always great. And also just, it felt like a general, like Hero Pulse was still there and people didn't like them, but it felt like a general uptick of the league.
Yeah,
like
it
the
was
vibe.
it was Ben Best's redemption arc. They were actually finding really cool niche ways of using Nico in the lineup and getting good value out of both Soon
Nico's
and
actually
Nico.
seeing playtime.
Also, wait, was this the Super Genji?
It was.
Oh, it was.
Yes, it was actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Summer Showdown
S
definitely gets an A tier.
Maybe
S?
I can see an S.
Yeah, that was the semifinals between Paris and Shock when it came down to the last
That was
fight on
very
Oasis Gardens.
S.
The very last fight.
Put it up.
I
And
think this
Shock
could
were
be
playing
S
Tracer.
tier.
They refused to play the Genji, so they just played Striker
Yes,
Tracer
they did.
versus Paris, who played the Genji, and
that
then
was
they
so
went on
good.
to play Fusion
That
in the finals.
C9 on Rialto too.
Yeah, I think this is S tier.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll give Summer Showdown an S because also it's the stage I remember most out of all of 2020.
So some other storylines here. Toronto Defiant were really good. They went from being ultimate poop into being pretty good because they just pocketed agilities on Genji. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's S. It's S because Genji just defined it. It's S. It's S because of that. Wait, when did Crystal do his thing too? Was it around here? Around
What
here?
do you mean? When did Crystal do his thing?
When did Crystal commit wage theft?
No, was it around 2019?
Was that in 2019 or this year?
That was the year before.
Okay, never mind.
Also,
Wage
low
theft.
point for the Gladiators, who lost to the Washington Justice in the opening round of Summer Showdown. Didn't someone say here like thanks for the warm up or something? I don't know, something like that as well. It was like some bands.
Wait, was this also the stage of Last Row?
Sex Big Dick.
Ooh.
Sex
Big
Big Dick?
Could be.
Yeah, well, was it Valiant pounding? Valiant started to pound around this time, right? Because they were playing Kai and Shax.
Yeah, I think this was Sex Big Dick.
No, wasn't that May Melee?
It was either May Melee or it was.
I thought it was May Melee.
I mean, either way, I still think
third.
Summer Showdown. I still think Summer
It's
Showdown
still
goes
an
to
S.
S tier,
It's
though.
still
Yeah,
an
I
S.
still
Okay,
think it goes to
yeah.
S.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I think S tier too. Actually, it was really
Let's
good.
take the Countdown Cup. This was essentially stage 4. It was the final stage of the 2020 season. It was when Rascal comes in to play Genji for them at the very end. It was where Striker was able to get so much value on the Tracer.
Oh,
and,
he was dominating
he was
on the
just
Tracer.
absolutely farming people. Aside from that, though, honestly, don't remember that much about the Countdown Cup.
Philadelphia Fusion, Hisu and Ivy replacing Carpe and then playing like Sombra Reaper and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was no, was Sombra Reaper? No.
Well, Hisu was playing
something
Widowmaker
like that.
for them at times as well, but
I
Hisu
feel like I
Genji too.
only
They were playing
remember the Summer
Sombra
Showdown.
Genji?
they played Sombra McCree at some point too, on one of the maps, I think.
Oh wait, wasn't Countdown Cup? Was this when Ons like hyper pounded?
Probably yes.
Because Ons was playing, they picked up Ons, and I don't remember how much he played before this.
He played a lot before this as well. He was hyper pounding all year long, but this
That's
was
right.
like,
he was hyper pounding all, but I feel like
this was
is
like he
one
was
of
in
the
a different
stages.
tier of his own when they played
Yeah,
against
when he
the
was
Philly
like playing
Fusion.
McCree and just owning, literally
Yes.
just owning everybody. Like, and also that's when Violet was hyper pounding too.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty decent, but not as memorable.
Summer Showdown just overshadowed, I think, 2020. As like, if you look at all the tournaments, I'm going to be honest. I'd
And
give it
also-
a B.
This is when Ivy was
Or an
like
A.
playing more for Fusion, or I can't remember. Did he start playing before? I guess he was playing before
Yeah.
that.
This was
too.
we saw Echo being played here as well, right? I think this was the stage where people were playing a bit of
yes.
Echo.
Yes.
Or maybe that was earlier in the year, but I think it was here.
Well, it's less than a year ago. I can't really remember this. This
Isn't
was
that-
also
Isn't that part of it though as well? Like the memorability of it?
No, for sure. I think that plays a part. I think Countdown Cup gets like, I feel like it could get, it's definitely no lower than a B.
Yeah.
I think it is B, to be honest.
It's B. Yeah, because I remember this is when Fusion had like a solid stage for them because Hisu and Ivy were looking really good.
Yeah, they were so much
I remember
fun to watch,
Hisu and
though.
Ivy looking so good.
They were so much fun to watch, yeah.
It was also kind of, was this a redemption of Sato or did this happen before?
This was stage 1. No,
way
stage 1
before.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, well, not stage 1, the homestands.
Yeah.
This was also Dallas Fuel beat Washington Justice, I think, after Decay left. That whole drama happened in Summer Shadow.
yeah.
Dude, when Decay went to Justice and then just clapped cheeks.
But that was
Yeah.
was very
That's
good.
right. Countdown Cup was a lot. Wasn't there? This is the meta that had a lot of the Hog Zarya.
Hog
towards the end.
Zarya.
And then it
No,
went to
that was-
playoffs, right?
was
No, it
playoffs.
started in Countdown Cup and went to playoffs, right? It started in
No,
playoffs.
I don't think it started in the Countdown Cup at all.
Did it
I
not
think
start
it
in
was-
Countdown Cup?
It was purely in
sure?
playoffs. I'm
Oh.
like 90% sure Decay wasn't even playing for the Justice in the playoffs.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, Decay
No.
wasn't even playing for the Justice in the Countdown Cup.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
When did
Yeah, I'm
it
looking at the
join?
playoffs now. Well, so, you know, I would say this. This is marred by my playoffs because I thought, I know we're not ranking it, but I attached Countdown Cup to the playoffs. If playoffs 2020 was being ranked, I think it would be like a C tier or lower.
I don't understand
So-
that because I thought the playoffs were a lot of fun last year. I thought
the playoffs last year were just really stupid because of the Decay situation and the meta.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, they were stupid, but in a fun way. I don't
Well,
know.
it wasn't that fun because Justice literally like they just fucking Bruce Wayne themselves. Like they just did some crazy billionaire shit with money to get Decay when they shouldn't have been allowed to get Decay ever. And like it shifted the whole playoff landscape. Like they should not have been allowed to have Decay on the roster to play, and it changed the entire landscape of like the teams. So
Okay. By the way, we've spent so much longer than this on this than I ever thought we were going to.
But just give it a like a B. or
I've
something. Give it a
thoroughly
B.
enjoyed this.
B.
I love
Give it a
doing
B.
I think it's
but-
good
give it a B.
content, but I mean, we are going to be here for weeks. Where, yeah, a B. Okay,
Yeah, just give it a B.
By the way, these tiers are just done chronologically. These aren't ordered tiers anymore. So just remember that when you're screenshotting this, you little plebs. 2021's May Melee, the stage that we've
S.
just had.
Yeah, it's S.
I
Recency
think it's
bias,
S.
maybe, but probably not. S tier.
Probably
Massive variation in meta. The Dallas Fuel and
Oh, I
Fearless
can't
just
believe we have
pounding.
two
Twilight
fucking
on
goat
McCree, and then Twilight going in for Anna, Violet on Cree.
This guy is fucking
I mean, there
molding.
is so many.
No, I'm
That's
not
the thing.
molding. I'm not molding over the ranking. I'm just molding over. I'm just looking at the fact that we have two goat stages in S tier.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, but
Good stages though. Good
you
memes.
know, they were good stages. They were good stages.
Best format we've ever had this year.
Yep.
Definitely.
Fantastic
Yeah,
format.
this
We-
is like amazing.
NA and APAC playing each other. Yes, it wasn't LAN, but we made that happen through some sheer magic. It's so much better than 2020. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
This stage had
Yeah.
everything.
Hero pool iteration is literally infinitely better. Infinitely
have
better
hero
hero
pools,
pool
but-
iteration. Like,
Coming up, yes, we have the best hero pools to date.
Yeah.
well, no, I'm not just talking about like the best hero pools in like. I'm not talking about the actual heroes. I'm just saying like the way that they're going
system.
to be doing hero pools in general with like it lasts consistently over a whole stage. It doesn't change. Is like so much better way to do
Then
hero
week to
pools.
week to week.
Yeah, obviously that's not part of the May Melee. That's going to be part of the June Joust, but like it's tinging my view of the May Melee. But I think May Melee was perfect. It was like very metas, good teams, insane storyline, like with Fuel. Like it's an S tier.
I found it interesting. We don't have a single 2018 season 1 stage on S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
But I do also think that that's reasonable. I mean, there was so much fatigue. The closest would have been stage 1, I think. And it's still not quite there.
probably, yeah.
And the league over the years has honestly just gotten better, right? In general, I think this is kind of a natural progression of how
I
a
mean,
league should look.
I think 2019 was kind of a bad. It was saved by the first half of the year when Goats was new, but like 2019, if we just take the first half of the year, it was good. But if we take the second half of 2019, it was a bad year. So
Sure.
And if you rank playoffs and finals, I mean, 2018 blows the other ones out of the water. Like, yes, DJ Khaled sucked ass, but being in that arena in Brooklyn and that setting and the hype, holy shit, that's one of my all-time favorite esports memories is the Brooklyn arena and being there.
No, that is absolutely one of mine as well. Now, the actual games itself, because there were two
not good.
matches, Well, one of them was all right, and the other was just a bit of a roll.
I actually think I feel like that's like definitely some rose-tinted glasses because I remember being insanely disappointed with 2018 finals.
But was 2019?
I mean, watching
2019 was even worse,
different.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. It was really bad. Vancouver.
I mean, was 2019 worse?
It was just a straight up
2019
stomp.
was Vancouver Titans falling flat. Like they just like dominated the entire season and then just sucked ass in the finals.
So that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, and they didn't have the benefit of having the crazy finals that like venue that 2018 did. So
yeah. And well, we were in Philly, but I say this to everyone as well. Watching online 2018 was very different from being there in person.
That's what I was doing.
I'm biased here because I was actually there, but I just felt like as a spectator, people who were there in the crowd, I think it was a really enjoyable event for most of them. I think it felt like being in the future. It really did. Going to that event. I before that I had worked on a lot of like DreamHack or ESL events, even like other Blizzard events, but it didn't really feel like sports. But Overwatch League in 2018, that finals, they had so many like fan elements, in-person activities, activations that just like leveled esports up. So yeah,
we were live on primetime ABC. Weren't we?
It was nuts.
Like
we went to a bar after the finals and they showed it on ESPN. It felt surreal.
It was wild. Anyway, let's get on to our next segment. We've created a tier list that's going to mold the shit out of everybody who ever looks at it. And we're going to, I hope we just spark a trend of people trying to create their own and making ones that are subjective in a ton of different ways. Like, make your own and rank them based on the metas. Why not? Write down in the comments which one we got the worst. On to the next topic, which is the Plat Chat Pick'ems, the top 5 matches of the week. We've got some Preds coming up for you. These are the beginning games of the June Joust. And our first one is the Toronto Defiant against the Boston Uprising.
Before I do the overlay, we've been requested this multiple times. Read your predictions out loud so the audio listeners can
I will
know.
do that for the people, yes.
Thank you.
Toronto Defiant against the Boston Uprising. Here we go. Okay. Jaws going with Toronto Defiant, as did myself and Avast, and a lone little Boston supporter at the end there for Jonathan Reinforced Larsson. Explain yourself, Boston simp.
Simp? Jesus Christ.
I mean, you have been sort of simping for Boston, honestly, throughout the year. No joke.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I sort of have, I suppose. Yeah. No, it's what I said earlier. I think the hero pool is really good for Boston Uprising. I feel like they'll, remove some of their weaknesses and emphasize on some of their strengths instead. I feel like potentially the hero pool could be a bit worse for the Toronto Defiant. I'm not like overwhelmingly impressed by the Toronto Defiant, even though they had some like good games. They got some decent wins in Melee. They also like fell flat against the Florida Mayhem and they didn't look good at all against the Washington Justice. So I think they're two fairly even teams. I just think that Boston Uprising, I think that the hero pool is good for them, and I think they'll improve massively from the.
What's your score line for this? What was your score line?
I don't have a score line yet. I haven't made the pick'ems. But if you want to see my pick'ems, you can go to my YouTube channel.
Well, didn't Kurt just ask?
Pick'ems.
Didn't Kurt just ask to say like what our predictions
No,
allow?
I mean, he just meant in terms of which team we've got.
Oh, just in which team wins? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Boston though.
Do you, Jaws and Avast, do you feel like it's going to be Toronto because you feel very confident in Toronto?
Jaws, how about you go first?
Hard to tell because of meta. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I half-assed these. I just kind of picked which team I think would just fucking blow, and I think the Boston Uprising maybe continue to blow. I think these, maybe apart from the second one, which we'll get to in a minute, might be a bit of a weird one, but I don't know. I haven't put too much stock into Boston. I'm not going to put any more stock into Boston. I think Toronto Defiant are going to be pretty good. Maybe they're going to have a Winston meta inside is going to pop. That's about it.
Yeah,
I actually don't rate Boston highly at all. I think Boston's issues went so far beyond meta. Like, they looked tragic.
Yeah, sure.
They looked tragic last stage, like at points. I think and also this hero pool it aids Defiant more, in my opinion, because of the fact that Sato can play Winston now.
Yeah. Or Orisa. Like, it literally, I think Boston, like Valentine was so fucking hyped up. And he looked
and then beyond the Tracer. Let's talk about the Tracer.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay,
Let's talk about the Tracer.
All right.
His Echo looked poopy, big poopy. And so, like, I did not like Valentine's debut was
among
rough.
us.
What?
A linguist is among us.
Yeah,
poopy, big
poopy. That's what it did. And their overall, like, I just wasn't impressed with any part of their team. And also, I'm gonna give you another hot take too. I think Stan 1's Ryan has traditionally been better than his Winston.
I mean, it's what he played on the Shanghai Dragons as well.
I don't think this meta helps Boston at all. I don't think this does any. Like, all it does is get Valentine off of the Tracer. I think, and their issues look so beyond just meta. And Defiant, at least, like, the meta helps them, and I have way more overall trust in their team and staff.
What about if it ends up being a hog meta? Because that's where the Philadelphia Fusion fell flat on their face when it came to the playoffs last year.
I mean, Sato's hog was pretty good, right?
It looked okay, yeah. I mean, I don't think that was part of the biggest part of the reason, but they also did, like, massively.
I just think there's no redemption here.
I don't know. I don't feel confident about Boston currently at all. I really don't.
I agree. I was just trying to shoot him some bail. Okay, let's move on to the next match. The next big one that we've picked out is the Florida Mayhem playing against the Houston Outlaws. This is one of those games we didn't get to see for the main melee. Okay, we've got a split cast. It's Jaws and Reinforce going for the Houston Outlaws. And myself and Avast, formerly on opposite sides of the spectrum when it came to Mayhem, now aligned in the middle, repping the pink M. I'm gonna kick this one off, actually, because the reason I've gone for the Mayhem here is mostly because of the meta. I'm banking on the fact here that I think we're heading more towards Winston stuff, and I'm hoping that what we saw from Mayhem as they got into the May Melee proper is going to continue in the future. I'm not confident about this pick, but if the meta goes in the direction of playing mostly double bubble with some, like, Echo Ash, for example, I think that fits the DPS line of the Mayhem phenomenally. I think that fits the style that they want to play extremely well as well. And I think that although Houston looked relatively well balanced in terms of the comps that they were running, the majority of their extreme success came from being amazing at Rush and being amazing at playing like a reactive Rush style. And you can't play that at the moment. There's no Ryan. You literally just are not allowed to play that comp anymore.
So this match is the last one on Sunday. So we will have seen some other matches before this one takes place, which probably will give all of us a better opinion on what the meta will be and how these teams are going to fare. I feel like, I mean, I mentioned the double shield or like the Sigma kind of comps earlier, and I feel like if we trend in that direction, Houston Outlaws is going to be the better bet. But yes, I do agree with you that like if the meta continues to be double bubble and Yaki plays Echo instead of Tracer, it's totally up for the Mayhem's wheelhouse. So this pick is pending on what we see from the other teams in the earlier matches. But I feel like Houston Outlaws overall is a really good team, and I'm confident in them in most metas, whereas for the Mayhem, I'm not really.
I mean, you just said there as well, like, I'm just thinking through my own Echo Ash example. I'm like, okay, yeah, and then the Houston Outlaws would only have Happy and Dante playing Ash and Echo. It's like, oh, well, yeah, actually, that is fucking incredible too.
It's close.
Yeah, it's a flip of the coin, honestly. On this one, to be honest with you, I haven't really thought too much about the meta until we kind of deep dove in it a minute ago. But I still have confidence that Happy and Dante could do well. I think Dante, if Doomfist, Echo, Happy, any hit scan, they'll do well. The big question mark is the tank line, if they can kind of perform. And although you could also have a question mark over what the fuck is going to happen with support. What's Jake going to do? Jake Mercy?
Yeah, that's my question mark for Houston, more so, because you've already seen Mayhem and you know this meta is going to be good for them. The question mark for me for Houston more so is just what the fuck is their support line going to be?
Yeah.
Like, is Juby going to be playing Mercy for them? Are they going to be playing Jake Mercy? Like, are they going to be playing Brigida with Jake full-time Brigida? Like, because that also could work with an Echo Ash, is you can just play Brigida to pocket the Echo. Yeah. So, like, there are options here, but I just have way more faith in Mayhem currently from what I've seen. So...
Okay. let's move on to our next game because we're starting now to head over to APAC. The Shanghai Dragons playing against the Chengdu Hunters. Ooh, okay. Everyone going with the Shanghai Dragons. No one has faith in Chengdu. What's going on, huh? We just
Shanghai's
so
back to their
in
old
Shanghai?
ways.
Sure.
I don't see
Yeah.
it.
I mean, there is a universe.
to
There is a universe where hunters have a good stage here.
What is
because,
what is the universe?
Jonathan's gonna hate me when I say this. He's gonna hate me when I say this.
Arisa Ball.
But
Fist.
if they play, no, not Arisa Ball.
Oh.
If they play Winston, if they play Double Bubble or Winston Diva with the Doomfist, the Jinmu Doom,
Could be.
I think legitimately this could be a good stage for Chengdu. I think that if there's one team to harness the power, aside from Fuel, there's one team to harness the power of Doomfist and the fact that there's no available counter currently, like there's no Sombra, it's Chengdu. I really do think.
Also, I think Shanghai Dragons are going to face a very difficult problem. That is, what the hell do you do with Sombra and Tracer ban for Lip? And I think the answer is to just say fuck it and just play Lip instead of DM on McCree and Ash anyway.
Oh, you mean
even
DM
though like
instead of
DM
Lip?
has this. No.
Oh, you
I'm
mean
saying I
keep
think
Lip
DM
in?
looked. I think DM looked so poor in the initial matches in main melee that I'd probably just like leave Lip in and just be like, meh.
I mean, Lip has a good McCree, right? So and a good
Yes,
Ash.
McCree.
Like McCree, Ash, Hanzo are all
Okay.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh is a DM simp. So
I'm both simp. I'm a big Lip simp as well. I just think that I mean DM. The thing with DM is that he hasn't actually been able to even when he's been performing extremely well individually. And like I went back through the replay viewer last year when they lost in the in all of those games at the beginning of the season and then during the Summer Showdown as well. I went back and I watched a bunch of them from DM's point of view, and he was clapping, but the team could still not play well around him, and he wasn't playing well around the team. So at the end of the day, if that isn't working out, then play Lip. That makes way more sense. He's still the skill. Even if there was a skill decrease, it's barely perceptible. And I don't even at this point, I'm not even. I mean, with how Lip played in this most recent tournament, he's leading the league, I think, still on Ash, and his McCree's probably always been a bit better than DM. So, yeah.
all right.
Just a sicko
Fair
player.
enough.
Okay, I think we're all aligned there as well. Next game happening over in APAC. The NYXL against the Philadelphia Fusion. Any buyers? Any buyers? No. Nobody buying NYXL Scrim Bucks. Nobody even trying to hold on to the remnants.
I picked out the matches this week, and there weren't a ton of fantastic matches. Like there's some good ones, but like it's hard to find like really close ones, I feel like. So
fair enough. Yeah,
it's
everyone
like,
goes for the Philadelphia
Did you want to
Fusion
predict another Shanghai versus Hangzhou match? It's like Shanghai versus Chengdu, maybe. You know, like it gets tough.
Do you think there's any? Do you think there's any chance for the NYXL players, the DPS players, to make a big impact in this stage? They're playing double sniper.
Their tank line was horrendous in the qualifier matches. Like Yakpung and Bianca has to step up if New York wants to be competitive this year. That's my one prerequisite. And if they do, they could be really good and compete with some of these teams. They could compete with Hangzhou, Chengdu, maybe even Philly and Shanghai, but they need Bianca and Yakpung to perform.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the final match from APAC is the Philadelphia Fusion playing against the Chengdu Hunters. Now, this one is hard to call. You can't be telling me that this one was simple for everybody. There we go. That's what we like to see. Jaws and Jonathan, again, teaming up and going with the Chengdu Hunters while me and Avast are going for the Philadelphia Fusion. I feel like Philly was the default pick here, so I'm going to throw it over to Jaws. Why'd you go for the Pandas?
Hero pools, chaos comp, Chengdu Hunters, maybe second game of the season. They always seem to do fairly well in like a brand new kind of meta. So I'm just giving it to them just on that. Literally, that is it. But a brand new meta that is not going to be practiced a whole bunch. They're going to run ball. They're going to run some funky stuff. Maybe they just kick Philly a new one, just kick them out the door real quick. Like that's literally all I have on them, honestly. I think Philly is the default pick. I do, especially since the discussion on the potential meta that could be coming up. But I just think that the Chengdu Hunters, they very much favor metas or matches that people haven't had a ton of time to practice on. So that's why I went for them.
Similar reasoning, Jonathan?
No, I entered. I want to go back to Philadelphia Fusion. I was really busy when I made these spreads, and I take it back, and I don't want to be here. I don't know why I selected the Chengdu Hunters at all. I want to predict Philadelphia Fusion, but I guess I'm here now. Probably, I mean, I've been mentioning double shield a lot. If Manu and Hotba has to play like Orisa and Sigma, or like Orisa and Brodog or something, then Chengdu Hunters might just like, hey, we're going to be Chengdu Hunters, and Philly are like, hey, we're trying to get accustomed to a new composition with teammates we haven't played with a ton, and we're disorganized, and Chengdu are just going to capitalize on that. But yeah, Philly are the favorite. I'm gonna put Philadelphia Fusion in my pick'ems. Don't be debated, but yes, here it says Chengdu Hunters, because that's what I told Kurt.
This is probably the first time I predded. This is probably the first time Fusion fans aren't gonna hate me, because I've generally done everything possible to fucking piss off Fusion fans throughout like all time. Like I've always just enjoyed like pissing them off, just making them mad. And so now, but now I'm like, no, yeah, I think Fusion's actually pretty good. So we'll get a pred.
All right. Very solid. Those are our Plat Chat pick'ems for the top 5, 6 matches of the week, whatever. Wait, was it 5? Yeah, it was 5 actually. Yep. It was 5. I can count. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I can't count because I'm the person that brought up 6 in the first place. Now for our most important segment of the week, every week, it's Bren's Player of the Week, presented by T-Mobile. This time, Bren has whispered in my ear like a little serpent from the Garden of Eden, and he has imparted upon me the pick for this week. Are you ready?
Oh.
You ready for this one?
All right. Is it the scientific community?
Ready. Give it to me.
That's a good percentage guess.
It's also not the Gloucester Rugby Club either. I haven't told anybody this, but here it goes. This week's Player of the Week, and I hate doing it, it's Matt Morello. It is Matt Mr. X Morello, because, listen, this guy's been pulling strings behind the scene, and he's danced away for this little episode because he didn't want to talk about the what do you call it, the live stream that they're doing for Overwatch 2. But I know what Matt's up to behind the scenes, and he's got something cooking, and he won't tell us what it is, and he keeps his lips sealed. But I'm giving him, this one's essentially like a Bren's Player of the Week on credit. And if he fucks it up, if that live stream isn't up to scratch, if him and Mitch mess it up somehow, or they don't release the juice, then I'm relinquishing this. I'm pulling it back, and we'll give it to the scientific community instead. But this is like a Bren's Player of the Week IOU. Where is that from?
It's Vin, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I think
Vin, it's the Vin. Yeah.
God, he looks 20 years younger.
He looks so different. He looks like he's been photoshopped on a buffer body. Maybe Mitch's. It looks like his head's been photoshopped on Mitch's body.
It does, doesn't it? He actually looks kind of good looking there, which is really different to usual.
I normally wouldn't associate Matt with good looking, so this is definitely a strange one. I mean, also, are you allowed to loan out players of the week like that? It works like a credit line, where it's like, well, if you pay it back, we'll take. Okay, well,
yeah, I'll give.
Good to know.
Yeah, I can offer it as a bribe as well. Like, for example, I'll offer Bren's Player of the Week to Avast next week if you do something cool next week for me. You know, we'll talk behind the scenes, get a favor sorted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got some ideas. Got some ideas of cool shit we could cook up.
Another.
Sorry,
we're gonna say no. Okay.
You
got another candidate?
Well, another candidate could have been Jexay, who literally like bought the shit for his coaching staff because they won the May Melee. So he bought Coach Young a new iPhone, and he upgraded Rush took business class flight because they just won. So Jexay just like,
wow, what a legend actually.
Wow.
So his coaching staff and stuff.
Didn't see this on Twitter, and this. Okay, Kurt, we're pulling the credit line already. We're pulling the credit line. We're pulling the credit line. Get Mr. X out of here. Get Mr. X the fuck out of here. We're giving it to Jexa 100%. Nobody does something this nice for their coaching staff and doesn't get Bren's Player of the Week. I feel like Bren would approve of that fully.
Well,
all right, there we go.
Tell you that it was Matt?
What? Sorry.
Didn't he tell you that it was Matt?
No, I made that part up to blame
though.
it on Bren. No, I just blamed that on Bren.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
No.
Wow.
I mean, also think about that. Like, just think about how much money has Matt spent on you, you know, and then look at how much money Jexa just spent on his coaches.
I think Matt's cost me money, if anything.
Yeah.
He's cost me my sanity, if not money, at some point.
So there you go. So he already gets a benefit there.
Okay, there it is. It's official. Bren's Player of the Week for this week, presented by T-Mobile, is Jexa for being just a nice chap and being very appreciative to his coaching staff. I like that. I respect that. That's very good.
Nice.
Avast, when you guys went on that perfect stage, did you buy Krusty something nice? Did you buy
actually,
Huck
they bought
something
me.
nice?
They bought me something nice because I was so I was such an important part of those wins. So I was a gifted Rolex and a private jet.
Oh.
And but sadly I've sold them at this point.
Baited. Okay.
I've sold them,
All right.
so they don't have them anymore. Yeah.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. All right, well, that's all we got time for this week. It was a really short episode. I'm sorry for that. You know, it really didn't last that long. But we'll be back at you next week when the first games of the June Joust have finished, and we'll have some of the regular crew will be back as well. I assume, fuck knows, maybe Matt's doing more stuff behind the scenes and feels like he can't stop his little lips from flapping in the wind. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you around. This has been Plat Chat.